You're watching a CNN Philippines coverage on the canvassing of votes for the presidential and vice presidential races. I'm Ruth Cabal. The Congress, sitting as the National Board of Canvassers, or NBOC, will begin counting votes for the two highest positions in the government. You're seeing live pictures inside the session hall of the Batasang Pambansa in Quezon City, where the canvassing will take place. We will bring that to you as soon as it happens. Lawmakers say they aim to proclaim the winning president and vice president tomorrow. Our chief correspondent and anchor, Pia Ontiveros, is monitoring the developments at the Batasan. Pia, what can we expect today?
Ruth, the action now moves from the electoral precincts, from city, municipal, and provincial boards of canvassers, and even from the COMLEX and PPCRV's command centers to this plenary hall here at the House of Representatives, where lawmakers will perform their constitutional mandate as the National Board of Canvassers, represented by a 14-man joint canvassing committee made up of an equal number of senators and congressmen. Now, this joint canvassing committee will canvass the votes of 55.5 million Filipinos. That, by the way, is or represents an 83% turnout of some 67.4 million registered voters. But let's go back to that 55.5 million vote figure. This NBOC is not counting, just to be very clear about this, the NBOC is not counting the electoral returns from precincts. Rather, it is canvassing some 173 certificates of canvass, or COCs, and you're going to hear that term a lot in the next few days, from provinces, cities, and overseas and local absentee voting. Now, to do that, ballot boxes containing these COCs were transferred early Monday morning, a few of them in transit as we speak. From the Senate to the House, physical printouts of the COCs will be checked against their electronically transmitted versions. What will be compared, the names and votes of candidates, signatures and thumb marks of the boards of canvassers. Now, if there is a discrepancy, that COC will be momentarily set aside or deferred. If there is no discrepancy, no objection, no challenge or question, it goes into the tally. Now, when the Joint Canvassing Committee completes all 173 COCs, a committee report is submitted to the joint session of Congress that will formally notify the winners of the date and time of proclamation. Now, given the wide vote margins of both Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte, they have been told to make themselves available for a Wednesday proclamation at the earliest, or maybe even Thursday morning or afternoon. Now, a petition to cancel BBM's COC pending at the Supreme Court will not stop today or tomorrow's proceedings. Now, in these 2 days, we will be seeing this 14-man joint canvassing committee, as I said earlier, and their alternates. So all eyes are on them. From the Senate, we have Mig Zubiri. By the way, Tito Soto, Senate President, is not part of this joint canvassing committee, as he was a candidate for VP, as you all remember, I'm sure. Another member is Frank Drilon, Grace Poe, Pia Cayetano, Nancy Binay, Ralph Recto, Amy Marcos. Their alternates are Lito Lapid, Risa Ontiveros, Coco Pimentel, and Bato de la Rosa. From the House of Representatives, the 7-man committee contingent is headed by Martin Romualdez, who is now Majority Leader, but he will be Speaker in the next 19th Congress. Abraham Tolentino, Boying Remulla, who's just been named Justice Secretary, Christine Singson Mihan, Sharon Garin, Manix Dalipe, and Juliet Ferrer. Their alternates, Stella Kimbo, Rimpi Bondoc, Johnny Pimentel, and Alfredo Garbin. There's also word that Vic Rodriguez is going to be lead counsel for BBM, for Marcos. He was campaign spokesman and will be executive secretary. So we do expect all the action to begin very soon here at the House of Representatives. Ruth?
Yes, Pia, but already right now we're waiting for the official canvass to start. But already this morning, they started out opening the ballot boxes, which were brought from different precincts. No, what did we do kanina? What did they do kanina? They passed the rules, also the assignment of the members of the Joint Committee, and the opening of the boxes.
Yes, of course, they first convene as a joint session of Congress. They approve the rules of the canvassing, and usually the rules don't change very much. Of course, things changed, as we all know, because 2010 nag-umpisa ang automated election system, ang AES, no? Naging automated lahat. At the same time, They're just opening the ballot boxes, but the actual canvassing begins at 2 o'clock this afternoon, which will be done by this 14-man joint canvassing committee. No, not the entire body, no, not the entire 24-member Senate or the 100 plus, the entire House of Representatives. It's going to be this 14 men and women representing both the Senate and the House.
And then, Pia, what we're waiting for kasi is kanina Senate President Soto announced that they have already received 157 of the 173 certificates of canvass. Yan yung ika-canvass nila starting this afternoon. We're just waiting for them to finish nga opening up the boxes. But like what you mentioned, there are also representatives from different candidates. We have lawyers as well as other watchers, no, who will be viewing the entire proceedings.
Yes, it is provided for by law and in the Constitution. Of course, you have watchers at every step of the election. No? So even here, the National Board of Canvassers, meron pa ring lawyers, watchers, 2 watchers were told for every candidate, but lawyers will also be here. It's going to be interesting, though, because in the past, no, lalo na noong manual elections, meaning 2007 pababa, maraming pwedeng objections, no? Dahil nga manual elections, ang daming pwedeng maging human intervention, and therefore, ang daming mga allegations of cheating. Kaya we could see a lot of the action that was happening on the floor dahil ang daming objections sa mga abogado. Pero this time around, dahil nga automated election system, wala masyadong ganoon. No? And we don't expect that much in this election, 2010, 2013, 2016, 2019, and itong 2022. We don't expect that much. Also because napakalaki kasi yung lamang ni BBM at ni Sara doon sa mga pumapangalawa sa kanila sa race. No? So we don't expect that much. However, we do need to understand that there may be some questions, perhaps there may be a few discrepancies in a certain COC. At syempre, tungkulin nila yan, no? Trabaho nila yan na i-question, no? Or, to clarify whatever these discrepancies are. Like I said earlier, if there is a discrepancy, there is a challenge, a question or objection, that COC will be momentarily deferred, momentarily set aside. Ruth?
And Senate President Soto was saying kanina, yung primordial task ng Congress is to determine authenticity and due execution of these certificates of canvass. We will go back to you. That's our chief correspondent and anchor, Pia Ontiveros, live from the Batasang Pambansa. She will join us again later as we wait for the canvassing of the votes. In the meantime, let's bring in political analyst Edna Ko. She's joining us here in the studio. Good afternoon to you, Professor.
Good afternoon, Ruth. Thank you for having me.
Yung pinag-usapan namin kanina ni Pia Ontiveros, no, yung importance kung bakit na kailangan yung may ganitong proseso that Congress will be convening as the National Board of Canvassers to canvass the votes. Kahit alam natin meron ng partial unofficial count for presidential and vice presidential. Bakit po mahalaga itong proseso na ito?
Actually, Ruth, this is part of what we call, these are all processes within the democratic exercise of an election. It is enshrined in the Constitution, in the Republic Act 7166, which is creation of the Electoral Tribunal, and as well as the Omnibus Election Code. Particularly, very well detailedly defined yung procedures under the Article 19 of the Omnibus Election Code. So in a way, this is respect for democracy, respect for compliance on the procedures. Kanina sabi ni Pia, it's ang malayo yung lamang nung votes, no? But even then, just the same, I think part of our the hallmark of our democratic institution is to really go through the procedures and processes, which is, this is the, siguro if we're in a book, parang the last one chapter in the whole electoral process, dapat nating daanan yon. And this is the canvassing of the votes.
And yung nabanggit na rin to kanina na they started convening kaninang umaga because there wasn't any movement from the Supreme Court. Kahit po merong mga cases to cancel the certificate of candidacy of Bongbong Marcos and also yung disqualification. Ano po? So what are you seeing right now? No movement. They were asked to give their comments in 15 days. Pero nagpatuloy, nagbukas po ang Congress today as NBOC.
Yes, because I was watching the development, the filing of the complaints before the Supreme Court and the motion of the Supreme Court to halt canvassing. But then again, the lawyer of the involved party, I think Attorney Mendoza had aptly said it, it is not within the domain of the Supreme Court on matters of canvassing. So it will have to proceed as usual, taken care of by Congress, by the joint chambers of Congress.
Okay.
So that's where we are now. I mean, that's what the country is witnessing now.
Okay, ma'am. We'll take you back to Congress. Babalikan pa rin natin si Professor Edna Co. Let's go back to Congress now.
From the vote counting machines, or VCMs, which then sent the results to several media entities and election watchdogs as mandated by our automated election law, which allowed the public to know the results immediately. It is comforting to know, though, that the conduct of the last May 9, 2022 elections was described as generally peaceful, orderly, and by no less than the COMELEC-accredited election watchdogs themselves, such as the Parish Pastoral Council for Responsible Voting, or the PPCRV. It also said that they have found no anomalies and discrepancies in the election returns that they have received and manually audited, and that their matching rate ended up at 99%. It found, ladies and gentlemen, the May 9, 2022 elections credible. Be that as it may, we are consoled by the fact that what we are about to do today in the coming days is the official count and is the one constitutionally mandated. This is the real count, the official canvassing body for the President and the Vice President of the Philippines. However, I'm certain that the results of the canvass of this joint public session, sitting as a National Board of Canvassers for the positions of President and Vice President of our Republic, will mirror the initial results generated by the COMELEC Transparency Server. It is my fervent hope that our proceedings will go about smoothly and that we will finish our constitutionally mandated task as quickly as possible. We owe this to the public, we owe this to the Filipino people. Kaya maraming salamat sa members of the Canvassing Board that are here today and to the Secretariat in attendance. At mabuhay ang ating demokrasya. Thank you very much.
On the part of the House of Representatives, I shall deliver our preliminary remarks. Magandang hapon sa inyo lahat po, sa inyo lahat. Esteemed members of the Joint Committee, honorable members of this august chamber, the candidates and their respective lawyers and watchers, Commission on Elections personnel, guests, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant afternoon to everyone. On the part of the House of Representatives, the Chair makes it of record the presence of the following members of the House panel: Honorable Jesus Crispin C. Remulla, Honorable Abraham Bambol N. Tolentino, Honorable Christine Singson Mihan, Honorable Sharon S. Garin, Honorable Manuel Jose Manix M. Dalipe, Honorable Julie Marie De Leon Ferrer. We have here also, as alternates present, Johnny T. Pimentel, and we have other alternates not present at the moment, Honorable Juan Pablo Rimpi Bondoc. We have also Honorable Alfredo A. Garbin and Honorable Stella A. Kimbo. It is my honor to be with you together with the Honorable Juan Miguel F. Zubiri as the chairperson of the Senate panel and myself as the chairperson of the House contingent to this joint committee. Welcome today of the meeting of the joint committee. As we carry out our duty as enshrined in the Constitution, rest assured that we will uphold the integrity of the electoral process. We shall ensure that voices of our fellow Filipinos, both here and abroad, as expressed through their ballots, are reflected and upheld. As chairperson of the House panel, I give the assurance that the meetings before this committee on the canvassing of votes will be characterized by accuracy, transparency, and expediency. We remain steadfast and cognizant of the jurisdiction of the Joint Committee to determine the authenticity and due execution of the COCs, to canvass the votes of the candidates for the offices of President and Vice President, and to render a report to the Joint Public Session for its consideration and approval. Earlier today, in Joint Public Session, we had opened the electronically transmitted certificates of canvass in the consolidation and canvassing system and the manually counted and physically delivered COCs not electronically transmitted in the CCS. Pursuant to Section 9 of Rule 6 of the Rules of the Joint Public Session of Congress for the canvassing of the votes for the presidential and vice presidential candidates in the May 9, 2022 elections, these COCs have been referred to this joint committee. We shall now begin performing the paramount task of canvassing the votes in the 2022 national elections for the two highest elected positions in our country, the President and the Vice President. I join our fellow citizens in praying that the sovereign will of the Filipino people shall prevail and that our cherished right to choose the next leaders of our country is a true reflection of the vibrant democracy enjoyed by us all. Thank you and good day to us all.
Thank you to my co-chair. And for the record, we are honored to be with you as well, Your Honor, together with the members of the House of Representatives. Let's proceed. The Secretariat, the Joint Committee Secretariat is directed to read for the record the names of all the attorneys who have entered their appearances for today's proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The following attorneys of presidential candidates have entered their appearance for today's proceedings. For candidate Marcos Bongbong, Attorney Victor Dairit Rodriguez, and Attorney Felipe Navidad Egardo Jr. For candidate Robredo Lenny, Maria Leonor Lenny, Attorney Regan de Guzman, and Attorney Hasmin Banal.
May I just ask them to stand so that we know which ones are the counsels? Thank you. And for presidential candidate Lenny Robredo.
Mr. Chairman, we have informed all candidates and their counsels of the schedule of the canvass today. So far, these are the only candidates who have sent their lawyers, counsels for today's proceedings, Mr. Chair.
With that, Mr. President, with that, Your Honors, the Secretary of the Senate is requested to recognize the other resource persons for the opening of the Joint Committee meeting.
Your Honors, the following attorneys of Vice Presidential candidates have entered the appearance for today's pleadings. For candidate Duterte Sara, lawyer Maria Bernadette Villanueva Sardillo, lawyer Nisauro Hernandez Ferme. For candidate Pangilinan Francis Kiko, Attorney Renzo Ross Sarte. That's all, Your Honor.
May we also, if there are other resource persons from the COMELEC or those who registered to be our resource persons, be recognized. Gentlemen, ladies, the Secretary. Wala.
Somelec.
Yes. We will suspend for a few minutes to allow the ballot boxes coming from Bern, Switzerland, and the other areas of the overseas voting to enter the premises. So we suspend for a few minutes.
From Congress with the National Board of Canvassers starting their proceedings. We heard from the chair of the Joint Canvassing Committee, Senator Zubiri. He was saying that They are ready to perform the official and constitutionally mandated count smoothly and quickly, and that they hope that this will reflect the true will of the Filipino people. Also, Congressman Romualdez, the chair of the Joint Canvassing Committee of the House, assures accuracy, transparency, and expediency. We have here in the studio Professor Comam. Sinasabi nila hopefully they can finish it by tomorrow, Thursday afternoon, no? And that the candidates have already been informed to be ready for their possible proclamation. Ganun ba talaga kabilis? Kakayanin po kaya?
It looks like, I mean, from the looks of things, it is possible to be agile and efficient in the procedure of the canvassing, unless there are very crucial, critical questions or petitions that are raised. But so far, all is quiet in the canvassing front. So I think that's where the confidence of the committee lies, that they can come to a proclamation or announcement by Wednesday.
And then they also introduced a while ago yung lawyers representing the candidates, but we only saw a few candidates sending their lawyers. Kahit lahat ng presidential and vice presidential candidates are actually allowed to send in their representatives.
Yes, and that's an indication that there are no serious concerns or no serious habol, no? If we can put it that way. And therefore, I think the committee probably is realistic in saying that they can finish the canvassing as soon as possible.
Nung una nga sinasabi nila, baka daw hindi magpapahinga, baka daw round the clock, no? But kanina si SP Soto was saying that depende daw sa takbo ng proceedings in the next 2 to 3 hours, and they will see if they can probably take a break tonight.
Yeah.
You're watching a CNN Philippines coverage on the canvassing of votes for the presidential and vice presidential races. We'll pause for a quick break. Stay tuned. from the Batasang Pambansa, and in just a few moments, the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President will begin. Senator Zubiri, the chair of the Joint Canvassing Committee for the Senate, earlier said they were suspending the session while awaiting the arrival of the other ballot boxes from the Senate. Earlier this morning, Senate President Soto said that they already received 157 out of the total of 173 certificates of canvass. What they are doing now at the session hall in Batasang Pambansa is they're opening the ballot boxes containing the COCs and other election returns and other related documents. We're seeing that's number 157 because they will be canvassing the votes according to the arrival of these ballot boxes from the precincts. So we're also seeing ballot boxes even from other countries. The task of the National Board of Canvassers is to make sure that the results of the count tallies with the electronically transmitted COCs in the consolidation and canvassing system, as well as with the manually counted and physically delivered COCs. Let's take you live to the Batasang Pambansa.
Sa loob na.
Diplomatic pouch yan. By diplomatic pouch. Track number 814925679290. Okay. We shall now place it back inside the ballot box and reseal the same with the national canvas seal control number 028.
We request Pace to bring the ballot box from Pretoria, South Africa. With ballot box number CE1002302 matches. And the self-locking seals 0543390 and 0543391. This matches also. Now breaking the plastic seals.
Pretoria, South Africa.
We have 10 brown envelopes and 1 white envelope. We have 1 brown envelope with number 08228899, signed by all the members, the chairman of the members. Brown envelope number 07569992, duly signed by chairperson. 0756998, duly signed. 0757000, also duly signed. 0757003, also duly signed. 757007, also duly signed by the chairman. 0757009, also duly signed. 0757014, duly signed by the chairman. 0757016, also duly signed. 0757019, duly signed by the chairman. 0757038, duly signed by the chairman. And 1 white envelope, specimen signatures of SBOC members. We'll now return the envelopes inside the ballot box. Together with the seal. Also sealing it with the control number 029. request the page to bring the ballot box of Dilipe, Timor-Leste.
We now have before us the ballot box from Timor-Leste with ballot box serial number CE 1001440, correct? With self-locking seal serial number 0543392 and 0543393. Verified correct? We shall now cut the plastic seals. And inside the ballot box are 1, 2, 3 brown envelopes, properly sealed with paper seal number SN07600002, signed by 2 board members. Oh no, 3, all the board members. And paper seal number SN0829292, signed also by all the members in the chair, and a separate envelope which contains originally signed copies of specimen signatures of the board members. We now return all those envelopes together with the plastic seals inside the ballot box and seal the same, reseal the same, and with the use of a national control number 030.
I request the page to bring the ballot box of Santiago, Chile. With ballot box number CE1011127 and self-locking numbers, locking seals 0543394, 0543395. We're now breaking the seals. We have 5 brown envelopes, duly sealed, and with number 0761318, serial number 0761320, serial number 0761319, also duly signed by the chairman. 1 specimen signatures of SBOC members, and 1 envelope 0761267, duly signed by the chairperson. We're now returning the envelopes inside the ballot box with the plastic seals. Sealing it with control number 031. May I request the page to bring the ballot box of Mexico, South America.
We have now before us the ballot box from Mexico with serial number CE1011543 and self-locking seals number 0543396 and 0543397. We now cut the plastic seal to open the box. Inside this ballot box are
You're still seeing live pictures from the Batasang Pambansa as the National Board of Canvassers are getting ready to start the official canvass of votes for President and Vice President. Earlier this morning, in his report, Senate President Tito Soto said they had 157 out of a total of 173 ballot boxes. Yan po yung naglalaman ng mga COCs, no? Now we're looking at the number, Professor. It's number 161 na. So nakarating na rin po yung ibang mga ballot boxes na hinihintay nila. Pero paulit-ulit naririnig natin, binubuksan yung ballot boxes, may mga envelopes. Ano po ba yan, Professor?
Actually, Ruth, I was just going to say, parang for information of our watching public, what are they looking at? It looks like it's a very exclusive set of information. What do they do exactly? Well, literally, canvassing really means looking over carefully. So it's a validation exercise. What do they validate? Anong data ba ang tinitingnan dyan? No? As they open the box and there are envelopes sealed, pinirmahan siya ng election officer. And what is found in each of these envelopes which affirm the votes cast by the public, by the voting public. This comes from the province, the city, no? And as you were hearing, some countries have already also sent in the data. And the data actually, the envelope contains data which tell us how many are the number of clustered precincts in that area. What is the number of registered voters? What is the number of voters who actively voted? And the number of valid ballots? And the number of rejected ballots. So, yun yung mga data na pumapasok at yun yung ina-assure ng ating canvassers that these have indeed come from each of the territory, the location, no? So these are being confirmed in the process of the canvassing. So I think it's really canvassing is really looking over, validating what has come in electronically o kaya yung manually, no, nire-reconcile yung data.
Kung titignan din kasi natin yung Constitution, and ito rin yung paulit-ulit na sinasabi, no, ng ating mga senators and congressmen who are part of the Joint Canvassing Committee, ang trabaho kasi nila is to determine not just the authenticity but due execution of the COCs in accordance with law. So ibig sabihin, dapat yung mga pirma nga, yung sinabi niyo po, dapat kumpleto, di ba po? Tapos nagtatali yung number of voters, tapos ikukumpara siya yung electronically transmitted with yung manually. And physically delivered na COCs. Mamaya makikita natin yung official na pagtingin nila, pagbusisi nila. Ngayon po kasi ay binubuksan pa lang. Hindi pa actually binibilang, ano? Hindi pa kino-compare, ano, Professor. So hihintayin natin na matapos yung pagbubukas mismo ng ballot box, tsaka pa yung official canvas nga or yung pagbibilang nitong ating mga joint canvassing committee. Pero kanina sinabi na rin mismo ni Zubiri, na chair ng Senate Canvassing Committee, no, na sabi niya, I am certain that this will just mirror the results daw generated of the COMELEC transparency server.
And that's exactly the role of canvassing, no? That it validates what actually has been cast by the voters.
So hintayin natin silang matapos na buksan yung 173 certificates of canvass. Professor Edna Coa will still be with us in just a few moments. The Congress, sitting as the NBOC, will begin the canvassing of votes for the two highest government posts. This is a CNN Philippines coverage. Stay with us. This is a CNN Philippines coverage on the canvassing of votes for the presidential and vice presidential races. I'm Ruth Cabal. In just a few moments, Congress sitting as the NBOC will begin the canvassing. Our chief correspondent, Pia Ontiveros, is at the Batasang Pambansa. Pia, what's the situation there right now?
Yeah, hi Ruth. The joint canvassing committee, yung 14-man, of course, have convened, no, and that's why they're here. And what's happening is hindi pa ito yung actual tally ng boto, di ba? Kasi ang certificate of canvass may summary ng boto na galing sa lahat ng election returns na covered ng area na yon. So kunwari, kung provincial COC, yung probinsya na yon. Kung city COC, yung syudad o yung lungsod na yon. So ang ginagawa pa lang nila, nagbubukas pa lang sila ng mga ballot boxes. So kanina lamang, they opened the ballot boxes from Switzerland, from South Africa, Timor-Leste, Chile, Mexico, and now they're doing Nigeria. So they're perusing the contents, looking at what's inside, the envelopes, the certificate of canvass. Pero yung actual tally, magsisimula mamaya pang konti. Okay? Pero nag-convene sila, pero hindi pa yung nag-uumpisa yung actual na bilangan ng boto. And earlier also, and then just so that people are clear about it, understand it really, what is being counted here. Although we call this a vote count, we're not counting the votes at the precinct level. Kasi alam naman natin lahat, hindi ba? Yung election returns, yun ang total o summary ng boto sa isang presinto. Ngayon, kunyari, halimbawa, may 1,000 presinto or 100 presinto sa isang probinsya. Halimbawa lang yon, ang suma total nun nakapaloob doon sa tinatawag na Certificate of Canvass o COC. Yan ang ika-canvass dito ng National Board of Canvassers para sa boto ng mga President and VP. So kanina sabi ko, binuksan na nga nila yung mga ballot boxes again from Switzerland, South Africa, Timor-Leste, Chile, Mexico, Nigeria. And also, kanina nire-recognize yung mga kinatawan, yung mga abogado ng iba't ibang mga kandidato. And of course, ang pinaka prominent dito ay yung mga abogado, syempre, ng mga leading candidates, no? Kabilang dyan, syempre, si Vic Rodriguez, who is lead counsel for the BBM Sara Duterte tandem. He's joined by six other lawyers. The actual tally will begin, we don't know exactly what time, but like we said, and again to repeat, the Joint Canvassing Committee has convened. And earlier, like I explained, kasi hindi naman pwedeng yung buong Senado, 24 members of them, or yung buong House of Representatives ang mag-canvass. So kailangan meron silang mga representatives who will do the actual work. And also, we've been told na we are expecting that perhaps a proclamation at the earliest could happen tomorrow, Wednesday, May 25, perhaps in the evening, we don't know, or perhaps Thursday morning, hindi pa natin alam yon. Depende yon sa bilis ng canvassing. At depende syempre sa pag-appreciate ng mga certificate of canvass, pagtingin doon. Baka kasi may mga abogado na gustong mag-question, gustong mag-object, no? And like I said earlier, kapag may objection, kapag may challenge, pwedeng i-set aside, pwedeng i-defer, momentarily set aside ng Joint Canvassing Committee. Ruth?
Can you remember nung huli, the last presidential election that we had this set up, itong automated elections with President Duterte, they were saying record speed rin yung canvas because they only had 3 days na canvassing at that time, no? But can you remember yung mga iba siguro possible discrepancies that tinignan nila before or they can possibly look for now, like siguro kung incompleteness or may mga erasures in the manual COC if they compare it to the electronically transmitted. Ano ba usually yung tinitignan nila, Pia?
Actually, they look at everything. No? So, for example, name of candidate, yung boto ng kandidato. So, yung boto, pwedeng yung numerical number, the numerical, so if it's 5 and 3, and then the spelled out number. I'm sorry, I don't have the correct term. No? And then, yung signature, yung thumb mark ng Board of Canvassers, halimbawa, tinitingnan lahat, as in bubusisiin, parang ganon. You mentioned, you were asking about past
We'll go back to our chief correspondent, Pio Ontiveros. Right now, let's take you to the live coverage at the Batasang Pambansa.
And also, for candidate Robredo, Maria Leonor Leni, Attorney Romulo Macalintal, and Antonio Carlos Bautista.
For Vice Presidential candidate Ong Willie, Attorney Juanito Arcilla,
Your Honor, please.
Attorney Manza Luis Chavez, and also acknowledge the presence of Commissioner Marlon Casquejo of COMELEC. Your Honors.
Commissioner, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. With the permission of my co-chair, we'd like to recognize Attorney Macalintal.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Your Honor, with the permission of this honorable body, I'd like to make a short manifestation on behalf of Vice President Leni Robredo. Your Honors, in her public statement, Vice President Leni Robredo asked her supporters that we need to accept the decision of the majority. Sinabi niya, bagaman may hindi pa nabibilang, bagaman may mga tanong ukol sa eleksyon na ito na kailangang matugunan, palinaw na ng palinaw ang tinig ng taong bayan. Sa ngalan ng Pilipinas, na alam kong mahal na mahal rin ninyo, kailangan nating pakinggan ang tinig na ito. Dahil sa huli, iisa lang naman ang bayang pinagsasaluhan natin. Habang lumilinaw na ang litrato, kailangan nating simulan tanggapin na hindi ayon sa mga pangarap natin ang resulta ng eleksyon. She said, we need to accept the majority's decision. And so, Your Honors, consistent with such pronouncements by Vice President Leni Robredo, and so as not to delay the proceedings of this board, we would like to make of record our continuing manifestation that we interpose no objection to the inclusion in the canvass of all the certificates of canvass for President from the various provincial and city boards of canvassers found by this honorable board to be authentic and duly executed in accordance with Section 20 of Republic Act 7166. And with that continuing manifestation, Your Honors,
Thank you.
may we be allowed to respectfully waive our appearance before this joint committee to further expedite its proceedings. And finally, on a personal note, in any competition or contest, I am always guided by this very meaningful short prayer entitled The Prayer of Sportsman. This was composed by the late American poet Burton Braley, and I quote, "Dear Lord, if I should win, let it be by the code, with my faith and my honor held high. And if I should lose, let me stand by the road and cheer as the winners go by." Maraming pong salamat. Pagpalain po tayo ng pong may kapal at ang ating bansa.
We would like to thank the counsel of Vice President Leni Robredo for your magnanimity on this electoral contest, and we wish the Vice President well. May we recognize also the counsel of Presumptive President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We join in the manifestation of my distinguished colleague, and one of the leading election law practitioner, Attorney Romulo Romimac Macalintal. And likewise, we would like to recognize and thank the patriotism exhibited by Vice President Leni Robredo for expressly recognizing the integrity and the result of the recently concluded general elections.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. At least now we can let the healing begin. And we can set aside politics. Thank you. My co-chair, would you like to manifest?
Again, I join my co-chair in expressing deep gratitude and appreciation on behalf of both houses and the Filipino people.
This is a very big,
for the
very huge
graciousness
development. We just
of
heard
Vice
Romy
President
Macalintal representing Vice President Leni Robredo repeating what she had said at 2 o'clock in the morning of May 10, Tuesday, where she said na palinaw ang, and then I paraphrase, ang tinig ng mamamayan, and that she appealed to her supporters, to those who voted for her, to accept the choice that had been made in the elections. Also, when Romy Macalintal was saying that yung continuing manifestation nila, consistent with this pronouncement of VP Leni, that they make of record that they will interpose no objection to the inclusion of all the COCs. This is a big development because this means na, in short and simple language, hindi na kami mag-o-object. Hindi na sila mag-o-object. Now, this will speed things up considerably. Kanina lamang sinasabi ko nga, they're hoping na by tomorrow, no, magka-proklamasyon. Malay ba natin kung kailan mangyayari yon. Now, Romy Mac also saying and emphasizing that they are waiving their appearance before this committee. And then he ended with this prayer of sportsmen. It is a very moving last line where he said, let me, and we quote, let me stand by the road and cheer as the winner goes by. After that, Vic Rodriguez, lead counsel for Bongbong Marcos, presumptive President Bongbong Marcos, accepting the pronouncement of Romy Mac and thanking him for it and expressing the same. This is, like I was saying, going to speed things up considerably. Ruth?
Yes, he was, ang sabi nga ni Attorney Rodriguez, he was thanking the camp for the Vice President Leni Robredo for their patriotism and for accepting the integrity of the results of the elections. We're just listening now to statements from the different lawyers of the candidates. And like what you mentioned, no, yung kanina nga, that will hopefully speed things up in terms of the canvassing. And si Miguel Zubiri, the head of the Joint Canvassing Committee, was saying they were thanking Robredo camp for their magnanimity. Yes, Apia.
Yeah, sorry. I also wanted to explain that I think there are two important factors here, what makes this possible. Number one, that the elections are automated. I'm telling you, I've covered so many manual elections before this, and this would never have happened in a manual election. Number two, sobrang laki ng lamang ni BBM at ni Sara doon sa pumapangalawa sa kanila. No? And that is what makes this possible. Kapag masyado kasing malaki yung lamang, ano pang sasabihin, di ba? So, siguro, I think ito yung dalawang factors that allowed this to happen, that paved the way for this to happen. It's a little bit of a surprise. By the way, just walking onto the floor now is Amy Marcos, Senator Amy Marcos, who is a member of the Senate Joint Canvassing Committee. Of course, also the older sister of presumptive President Bongbong Marcos. Ruth?
To be generated from the CCS machine. Baka yun. Di ba? Kasunod. 5 bunches na. Wala nang.
After that, we can make that motion. It's prior to other. The law already. Yes. We'll just ask the members of the National Board of Canvassers to check. May we now request the Senate Secretariat and the House Secretary General to lay the documents on the center table and ask our colleagues from the National Board of Canvassers, the Canvassing Committee, to observe and look at the results.
Let's play by batches na. Done. Yan by time.
This is the city of San Juan, ladies and gentlemen. But I will mention, we have to mention
the batches.
Yan is, we'll now do by batch. So first, the next 10, para mabilis. It's by order of appearance, order of arrival. Ano tayo kakashing din? You need a longer table.
Para piniprint na po.
I print na lang.
Wala tayong stapler dito. Kailangan ba stapler? Kailangan stapler.
Electronic printing. So you can mention.
Yeah. We have now opened the envelope containing the certificate of canvass for City of San Juan, and we are waiting for the electronically. We are waiting for the printed copy of the electronically transmitted COC to compare.
COC number.
Hindi makita.
Pihit ko ba sa?
Yes.
Team regular na.
Yeah, check nila.
We need to say something or no need na?
If you want.
President at Vice President.
Iwan namin.
Meron dapat.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
ID natin, sir.
ID in the house and then po.
By comment. Kasi safe po.
What you're seeing now are live pictures from the Batasang Pambansa. This is the first COC that the Joint Canvassing Committee are canvassing. Yan pong nakikita nyong video na yan ay yung actual yung manual COC. You can see this is for the city of San Juan. This is the city certificate of canvass for San Juan. You see the position and the names of the candidates, the votes garnered.
Printed copy of the electronically transmitted COC. And it's now being compared. Oops.
Sorry, ma'am.
Where's the other one? This one. Okay. You want us to,
Make an observation, Majo?
Mr. Chair, upon inspection, the COC is deemed the authenticity and regularity of the COC is confirmed, Mr. Chair.
All right, that's canvas.
Okay.
Return it, ma'am. This is the original, ma'am.
Alimutan.
The printed.
Your Honors, there being the finding that the electronically transmitted COCs as well as the COCs delivered to the Senate are identical with no alterations, no erasures, and there being no objection to the COCs, we deem the COCs of San Juan canvassed. May we now request the Secretary to read the results.
I concur with the manifestation of the chairperson of the Senate committee, and we direct the Secretary to continue with the canvass.
Sir, we are sealing the open.
Yes, we already made the order. Yes. Continue. When you say canvas, we will now read it.
Secretary, ito tally na. Secretary is directed to canvass. Canvass, yes. Then it will now tabulate na. Babasahin yung...
So the Secretary will proceed to read the votes so that it can be tallied, be deemed canvassed for the city of San Juan. Please proceed.
Okay. For President, sige. This is the certificate of canvass for the municipality of San Juan. City of San Juan. For President, Abelia Ernie, votes garnered 60. De Guzman Diodi, 122. Dumagoso Isko Moreno, 3,069. Gonzales Norberto, 61. Lacson Ping, 2,511. Mangundato Faisal, 262. Marcos, 42,636. Montemayor Jose Jr., 49. Pacquiao Manny Pacman, 1,201. Bredo Lenny, 30,392.
For Vice President, candidate Atienza Lito, 152. Candidate Belio Walden, 147. Candidate David Rizalito, 21. Candidate Duterte Sara, 42,499. Candidate Lopez Manny, 50. Candidate Ong Doc Willie, 5,155. Candidate Pangilinan Kiko, 22,107. Candidate Serapio Carlos, 39. Candidate Soto Vicente Tito, 9,876.
Chairperson, is there any
Pwede na.
next one? No?
Saan sila?
Next. I believe my co-chair would like to make a manifestation on how we can proceed to hasten the proceedings on the next batch of COCs.
We shall direct the section of both houses to generate and print the COCs from Batanes, the Republic of Korea, Republic of Lebanon, Ifugao, the city of Malabon, the city of Las Piñas, the city of Valenzuela, Malaysia, Agana, and the Sultanate of Oman.
Print na din yun.
I-print na po niya. I-advance. Go there naman.
May we request additional tables, Your Honors? Para hindi po siya masikip dyan. Maybe 2 more tables.
Okay, mix. Senator Mix na.
Okay. So, all ballot box, yung binanggit na 10, ilalagay dyan na? Hindi ka kasya. One at a time pa rin. Okay. Sige.
Pero the generation,
Ang bilis. Alright. So, it's not necessary to have
Ang inyo pong napapanood ay yung mismong pag-canvass na ng Joint Canvassing Committee with the Congress sitting as the National Board of Canvassers. Una po nilang kinanvass yung Certificate of Canvass from San Juan City. We saw the process. First, they opened, yung kanina po, nauna na binuksan yung mga ballot box and then nilabas yung mga certificates of canvass para tignan, i-check for their authenticity and that due process, it was duly signed, thumb mark. Nakita natin, di ba po, Professor, may mga thumb mark yung mga COC. And after that, yun po yung manually delivered, manually counted na COC. Hinintay nila na ma-generate at ma-print naman yung copy ng electronically transmitted COC. At pagkatapos ay kinumpira nila na identical yung itsura, no? Yung physical, yung nandoon yung pangalan ng mga kandidato, yung kung ilan yung bilang. Pagkatapos ay they will declare, no, kung authentic nga yung COC, and after that saka na yung official yung pagtali or pagbibilang, ano, Professor. Nakita natin kanina, nakita rin natin yung mismong bilang doon sa City of San Juan where we saw na ang nanalo doon ay si presumptive President Bongbong Marcos. Ano po? Yung ganyan, so yan yung makikita natin, Professor, the whole day. Oo.
Yes. Actually, parang ano to yung pinakita kanina, parang yun yung prototype na ina-expect natin na laman nung canvas, no? Nung certificate. So I think it's good that yung mga kababayan natin nakita kung ano yung laman.
Na ganun, no? Isa-isa yun natitignan nila para malaman nila yung na maayos at tama yung pagkaka-prepare ng mga COC. Also, aside from that, nakita rin natin, ang ganda rin yung camera nila, no? Nakikita mo talaga yung mismong dokumento, no? Tapos meron silang parang, I think this is also available online, kung saan makikita mo na pinapasok na nila yung yung tally of votes. So you can see from there ilan yung, and then they will read it, di ba, kung ilan yung botong nakuha. In alphabetical order of the presidential candidates, the president and then the vice president. So makikita natin yung proseso. And I think, nakita ko kanina sa ating Viber na yung link na yun is available online. So you can actually see how they will tally the votes online.
Ruth, ang nakikita natin dito ngayon, I'm happy to say this. Ano to parang this is also showing to us yung transparency, no? Importante ito sa public. Nakikita kung ano yung laman at verified ito. So it's right before everyone's eyes kasi mahalagang principle yung transparency. Ano nga ba ang laman ng nasa balota? So I think this is a good sa akin mahusay na public information for everyone to see. That's really the purpose also of the canvas.
This is the second one. Where's this from? Itong COC na tinitignan nila ngayon. If we notice, no, yung mga members ng Joint Canvassing Committee from the House, I see yan si Congressman Romualdez, Tolentino, kanina nakita ko si Senator Binay, and Senator Zubiri is there. Nilalapitan talaga nila yung mga dokumento at chinecheck nila, no, yung na maayos na authenticity and duly executed yung mga COCs na nandyan. And then kanina si Congressman Romualdez announced na to print in advance na lang or to generate in advance yung mga electronically transmitted COCs from different areas. This is the province of Batanes. Tama? Narinig ko lang from our... Okay.
But also, I observe yung due diligence na ginagawa ng committee to make things also, they go through each and every certificate according to process. Pero nagbibigay ng assignment para mas ma-ready na, mas mapabilis na yung proseso.
Ito walang Professor, wala siyang thumb mark ba yan? Or?
Your Honors, we direct now the Secretariat with no other observations from our legal
Is this the one
counsels
from
and our
Batanes?
members of the Board of Canvassers, the Committee and Canvassing Committee, we now move that the results of Batanes be deemed canvassed and proceed with the counting of the votes, the reading of the votes.
Sorry, sir. Check ang pagbasa mo daw. Kunyari, adyan.
Ria.
Next is Ria.
At this time, we will pause for a quick break. Stay tuned to CNN Philippines. This is a CNN Philippines coverage on the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President. I'm Ruth Cabal. Our chief correspondent, Pia Ontiveros, is at the Batasang Pambansa. Pia, nandiyan ka sa gallery, no? Mas marami kang nakikita dyan. Can you give us the situation there right now?
Yeah, mas marami ako nakikita pero medyo malabo yung mata ko from afar. But anyway, okay, so what they're doing now, like you've already said, no, inumpisa na nila yung tally, so naumpisan doon sa city of San Juan. Of course, that is Zamora country. And, you know, let's take note of the votes, no? BBM got 42,636 votes and Lenny got 30,392. So again, you see that those numbers, no, na dumalamang si BBM. Then they opened Batanes. Batanes, of course, all the way up north, it was, to a certain extent, it was LP, Liberal Party country, because of Butch Abad, no? Lenny did win in Batanes, 5,195 votes. Pero si BBM, parang less than 800 votes lang ang na pumapangalawa kay Lenny. So hindi masyadong malayo. So, you know, things like that should mean something also, no? Parang, in a way, wake-up call also to the political parties. What happened, diba? And I just want to go back very quickly habang tinitingnan na nga nila itong isa pang COC. Yung nangyari kanina, it had never happened before. You'd never hear the lawyers, elections, you never hear the lawyers or the representatives ng kandidato na pumapangalawa na nagbibigay daan na nagsasabing hindi na kami mag-interpose ng objection. Okay na sa amin yung mga COC na yan. Mag-waive kami ng appearance. It's never happened. And like I was saying earlier, in all, especially in the past manual elections, napakahaba ng proseso, napaka madugo. Voices were raised, tensions were very high. I also remember the 2004 canvassing, and that was, the race was between Gloria Arroyo and FPJ. Naku, Diyos ko, grabe yung away talaga on the floor.
Yes, so, and because that was manual pa no? Na pwedeng buksan.
Sorry?
That was manual elections pa,
Yes,
and they
yes,
were trying to open yung election returns. May mga ganong motions pa at that time, no?
Yes. I'm just saying that there's a huge marked difference between canvassing noong panahon ng manual at noong panahon na ngayon ng automated election. So ayun. Sorry, they're doing South Korea now, I think. South Korea. You know, and earlier, hindi ba, ang sinabi na nga sa atin at the earliest, bukas, Wednesday, May 25, ang proclamation, no? But this could happen even earlier, no? Pero depende, kasi 173 COCs, and then you're opening and going over the COCs one by one. Kanina tinignan ko yung time lag, no? 2:29 p.m. yung City of San Juan, 2:43 p.m. yung Batanes, 13-14 minutes, no? So depende how fast they can go. Let's see kung kaya nilang tapusin by tonight, perhaps early morning, a proclamation, we don't know. Or maybe tomorrow, Wednesday morning, late Wednesday afternoon, or even Wednesday evening. But Romy Mac's pronouncements earlier really did pave the way for what's going to happen in the next 24 to 36 to 48 hours.
Siguro, Pia, pasok ko rin sa discussion si Professor Ko about yung statement ni Attorney Mac kanina, no? Pero he was saying na, kasi yun ang sinabi na ni VP Lenny na sundin na nga yung pakinggan, no? Kung ano yung, and accept the decision of the majority. Pero wala pang, direct, parang hindi pa nag-concede. Kasi si Mayor Isko Moreno, meron talaga siyang statement na nag-concede na siya, and even Manny Pacquiao. But kaya wala pa tayong ganun, Professor?
Actually, my sense there is yung statement ni VP Lenny is saying whatever the outcome is, willing silang to respect, no, the outcome of the counting. But still, I think the procedure and the process has to go on. It cannot automatically disregard the process that the canvassing takes place. So, sa akin yun yung dating nung kanyang mensahe na, but whatever the outcome is, it has to be respected. And to me, that's a very, parang medyo rare nang marinig yan, sa isang kandidato na tumatakbo. So, sa akin, that's a very, it's a very magnanimous decision. But it's not really saying tigil na and tanggap na namin na we didn't make it.
Yes.
So, still, the procedure continues.
Parang ayaw niya rin siguro munang i-address yung parang, kasi ang dami pa rin mga projects na pinagpapatuloy, sinabi ni VP Lenny na itutuloy pa rin, even after etong kampanya, after the election. So siguro parang hintayin din natin kung ano yung magiging announcement niya kasi nga may mga ganyan pa siyang programa.
Right.
No? We go back to the Batasang Pambansa. We're now canvassing the COC from South Korea. Pia, ano yung, wala naman silang nakitang any discrepancies because dyan, so far?
Wala namang mga malaking problema dito. Things are going smoothly. Pero tama yung sinasabi ni Professor Edna po kanina, no? Of course, the process continues. The process does have to continue. It's just that it will be smoother, no? There will be a smoother process. Wala nang objections masyado. There will be no high tension, high wire tensions. Wala nang sigawan. Wala nang raised voices here, no? It's going to go smoothly. Yun ang mangyayari. Pero syempre, yung proseso, dahil yan ang constitutional mandate ng Senado at ng mababang kapulungan, ng House of Representatives as a joint canvassing committee to canvass the votes. It will have to go through the process. It's just that this is going to be faster than what we had first expected. So as far as I'm looking at it, and hindi ito aabuti ng bukas ng gabi pa siguro. Baka mas maaga pa. Pero definitely, ang proseso, and that is what we are seeing. That is what all our viewers are seeing on your screens right now. The process goes on. They are perusing the certificate of canvass and making sure na lahat nagmamatch doon sa electronically transmitted at yung manual, yung physical copy, of the COC. They are making sure it matches. They are making sure tama ang mga pangalan at ang mga boto ng mga kandidato doon sa mga COC. They are making sure na tama ang mga pangalan, signature at thumb mark ng mga boards of canvassers. Lahat tinitingnan, binubusisi. Sinasabi lang po natin na bibilis lang po siya ng konti dahil wala nang objections na mangyayari.
And I'm also looking, Pia, dun sa rules nila. Sinasabi dito na just in case merong discrepancies, i-defer yung canvas for a certain COC, baka nga daw pwede pa rin nilang i-require na mag-appear within 24 hours to explain yung discrepancy. They will ask the Provincial Board of Canvassers or the City Board of Canvassers pa para mag-explain. But I don't think we can even reach that point, na dahil nga wini-waive na rin ng camp ni VP Lenny yung kanilang appearance so they can expedite the proceedings.
Yes. Alam mo, Ruth, noong manual elections, at marami na tayong nakitang mga halimbawa noon, and ako, I would see that because, for example, nag-cover ako ng NAMFREL, yung mga quick counts, at doon mo nakikita talagang pag manual, grabe talaga. That's the only word I can use to describe it. Grabe talaga yung dinadagdagan ng isa pang digit, dinadagdagan ng 0, dinadagdagan ng 1, gano'n. Pero very, very, very blatant. No? It's easier to do it doon. Of course, I'm sure there may be some people listening and saying na, mas madali din, or pwede mong, you can game the system, no? You can cheat and automate it, no? But from our history, from our experience, it looks like the automated election is, it's a much better process, no? Wala ka na masyadong human intervention. Pero dati talaga naalala ko yung mga manual election. Ang dami talaga. I remember a certain town in a province in Mindanao, a town in Misamis Oriental, halimbawa. Merong nadagdagan na boto ng isang presidential candidate. That was the 1992 elections. No? That was manual. That was the first election the first national elections post-Marcos, after the Marcos administration. So, marami tayong nakikitang ganoon, and talagang sakit ng ulo talaga. Humahaba ang proseso, humahaba ang istorya dahil sa mga ganoon.
Pero syempre, hindi pa rin natin i-discount, di ba, Professor, na during election day, nagkaroon tayo ng maraming kwento about mga nasirang vote counting machines or yung mga SD cards. But COMELEC is saying na maliit na porsyento lang naman yan compared to all the VCMs in the country.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's a stressful situation on the day itself of the election when some voters could not vote because of the machine. Pero overall, we'd say, well, it still worked. The whole election still brought in the people's will. And immediately, we heard from COMELEC na kailangan talagang palitan na yung sa susunod na election, machine should be new and fresh. So I think yun naman yung isang parang lesson learned from that from the election day itself. And following the words of Pia earlier, ito yung ito yung isang value na may progression tayo dun sa conduct ng election. The digitalization of the whole process really helps and avoids tension and kasi nga lesser ang intervention ng tao. So I think what is unfolding before us at ang hindi lang pwedeng isa-isang tabi ay hindi dumaan dito sa mga proseso pa rin, no? But their technology is contributing to efficiency. This is one thing that we are witnessing and we are realizing. So hopefully, nag-i-inch naman tayo paakyat dun sa pag-improve ng ating electoral process, at least during this time of the counting of the votes.
We're now counting the COC for, nag-move na ba tayo or is this still South Korea?
1,479, 82479. Montemayor,
This is Ifugao now.
222,
Ifugao province.
Pacquiao, 6,573, 6573. Robredo, 15,585, 15585.
For the province of Ifugao, Vice President Atienza, 434, 434, Bello, 253, 253, David, 157, 157, Duterte, 73,753, 73753, Lopez Mani, 605, 605, Ong Doc Willie, 3,252, 3252, Pangilinan, 13,335, 13335, Serapio, 324, 4, Soto, 14,680, 14680.
We direct the sections from both houses to open the ballot box from the city of Malabon containing the manually transmitted COCs to be compared with that electronically transmitted here by the House.
We are now opening the ballot box containing the COC from the Malabon.
Three copies, ma'am.
For both presidents, vice president, there are no irregularities and no discrepancies. All COCs are authentic.
Ayan, magtamo.
Okay, na? If there are no other observations, manifestations, or objections, the chair hearing none, we direct the certificate for canvass for the city of Malabon be included in the canvass and ask the secretary to read the results.
Certificate of canvass for the city of Malabon. For president, Abella, votes garnered 181, 181. De Guzman, 364, 364. Dumagoso, 12,449, 12449. Gonzales, 188, 188. Lacson, 4,802, 4802. Mangondato Faisal, 7171. Marcos, 119,475, 119475. Montemayor, 147, 147. Pacquiao, 3,682, 3682. Robredo, 51,405, 51405.
City of Malabon, for Vice President, Atienza, 415, 415. Bello, 300, 300. David, 70, 70. Duterte, 108,094, 108,094. Lopez, 191, 191. Ong, 12,473, 12473. Pangilinan, 29,322, 29322. Serapio, 190, 190. Soto, 40,603, 40603.
Live pictures from the Batasang Pambansa, the official canvass of votes for president and vice president. We will pause for a quick break. Stay tuned to CNN Philippines. This is a CNN Philippines coverage on the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President. I'm Ruth Cabal. Our chief correspondent, Pia Ontiveros, is at the Batasang Pambansa. Pia, ano nang situation dyan? Pang ilan na ba yung COC na kinakanvas?
Okay, hi again, Ruth. So we just went through the city of San Juan, Batanes, South Korea, Ifugao, Malabon. Now we're doing Las Piñas. You look at the votes, huh? Las Piñas, of course, Villar country, no? Manny Villar, his wife, Senator Cynthia Villar, who has 3 more years in the Senate, and their son, Mark Villar, who was just proclaimed a senator last week, no? In the top 12, the magic 12. Las Piñas, BBM is 137,000 plus, Lenny, 78,000 plus. Malabon, kanina lamang, tinignan nila yung COC, BBM, 135,282, 64.8% of the vote. Lenny, 52,049. Ifugao, earlier, BBM, 82,479. Ang layo, si Lenny, 15,585 lang, no? Ifugao, of course, kasama yan sa Cordillera, which is recognized as part of the Ilocos Norte, of Ilocos country, no? So, and matagal lang sinasabi, doon talaga, malakas talaga si Marcos sa Cordillera, and that explains why the votes are in Ifugao like that. So, it's just interesting when you're seated here, and then and even for our viewers, when you can see the votes coming in. And I'm sure all these votes are giving food for thought to all the campaigns, kasi tinitingnan nila ano ba yung mga boto, saan sila nagkamali, ano yung tama nilang ginawa, halimbawa.
Yeah, as
so
you're mentioning,
we're just going through the process, and
As you're mentioning
Go ahead.
yung tally rin ng votes, kasi ako naman, I'm looking at the website of Halalan 2022 ng Congress noon. Doon sa mismong website nila, they actually have yung mismong tally, yung tinatotal na nila yung votes as they are canvassed. So here, as of right now, I'm looking at the time, 3:10, nakalagay dito sa kanilang website, Marcos has 300, yung total na canvas so far, Marcos has 391,871 votes. Robredo has 182,382 votes. So yan yung total na votes as of now, as of this time, doon sa mga na-canvas nila na COC. So maganda to. Actually, we were talking about it with si Professor Cono. Yung sinasabi niyo, yung talagang transparency, Professor, ano na nakikita natin right now?
Ito kasi parang running count na itong nakikita ng tao. I mean, that's accessible already. So I think that's a good thing also.
Pia, yung fina-flash ba dyan, yung binasa ko lang na total, no? But I can only access this kasi sa website. So at least nakikita mo kada pasok nung canvas, kada input nila nung tally nila dyan, tinototal na siya dito sa kanilang sa website at makikita mo na siya.
Yeah, well, we have 2 screens here kasi sa plenary hall, one on the left, one on the right of the podium. And I can't see that running total that you're talking about. Either that or malabo lang talaga yung mata ko. Or, hindi, nandun ata sa pinakamataas pero sobrang liit niya. At kailangan ko pa atang suotin yung eyeglasses ko for I'm not looking at the right now, so I wouldn't know. But yes, of course, they would be making that running total.
And based on this also, syempre ang maganda dito is as may access din ang public, pwede rin nilang tingnan to sa website sa vice presidential candidates, Sara Duterte with 368,461, followed by Kiko Pangilinan 123,182 and Senator Soto 100,221. Yan yung latest tally as of now. This is available again on the website of Congress for their official canvas. Also, Pia, nakikita mo pa ba dyan kung nakikita mo pa ba dyan si Attorney Vic Rodriguez, because they announced that they will be having a press conference in a few minutes.
Yes, there was an announcement made. He was on the floor a while ago, but I can't see him right now. I'm sure he's preparing to do that press conference. But you know, yung sa running tally, it's best that it's you who reads that because you have access to that. I can't see it from here, from where I am now. But the reason also why I'm going through some of the votes for certain cities, certain provinces, is because it's interesting to see how the candidates did there. And how the local candidates, the political families in that province may have impacted on the national election. Because, we all know all. And you can see that very clearly in the House of Representatives, hindi ba? Because we have district representatives here. So it's just very interesting. It's something that students of Philippine politics will want to keep going over. What the vote was like for 2022 in each province, each city, each municipality.
Ang tinitingnan din kasi ng iba yung kumbaga kung nag-deliver ba itong certain local politician or itong certain province for their favored candidates, and also what we saw during the campaign, yung mga rallies, Professor. Di ba parang nakikita natin na dito sa isang probinsya na ito, napakadami ng nag-attend ng rally. Nag-translate ba yan sa mga actual votes?
Exactly, Ruth. Kasi the numbers that we are seeing now would also say ano talaga ang ibig sabihin ng physical in-person rallies, and was that really very impressive. Lumalabas dito ang dami pa rin ng tahimik, no, invisible, but it's really casting the vote,
yes,
which really gives us the real picture. So ito na yun eh. This is the proof that beyond the physical rallies, merong tahimik lang. And I think I was looking at some of the conversations online then, and immediately at the end of the election day, and people were saying, tahimik lang, pero may decision kami. So, I mean, this is it. This is the one that's we are seeing now in terms of the numbers. No? Very dualistic ang Filipino mindset, no? Merong nagmamanifest, expressive, pero makikita mo, ang dami ring tahimik. And they will just show their decision on the election day.
But at the same time, there were also some areas naman daw na nag-overturn. Parang, di ba kasi magkalaban si Marcos and Robredo for VP in 2016. So now, parang may mga ilang probinsya na bumaliktad. Ano kaya naging factor sa ganun?
Ibig sabihin sa akin lang, it's, yung dating niyan is Senator Bongbong, preemptive President Bongbong Marcos, did hard work between 2016, right, up to the present. So yung time na yon mukhang that's where the effort, the action of Senator Bongbong, he worked hard on that, if you will call it that, no? Kaya ito ngayon yung makikita natin.
Parang, and then, totoo ba yung sinasabi pa rin nila na nag-prove, kanina si Pia was mentioning it, no, about yung the Ilocos province, the solid north.
Oo. I was looking at the physical, the rallies, and if you look at that alone, pwede mong sabihin, hindi solid north yan. Kasi there were so many people who were present during rallies favoring VP Lenny. Pero it looks like the numbers says it all, no? Hindi lahat, merong iba, pero overall, it's still a big significant solid north.
And also I'm just looking at, kasi I'm trying to look for it sa notes ko, yung mga sinasabi nilang nag-overturn or nag-flip, no, for example, Cebu before was Lenny won there as vice president, pero ngayon si Marcos po yung nanalo doon.
Oo. So parang isang slice lang ng picture yung the physical rallies that we were seeing during the campaign. But it doesn't really tell everything. Parang ganon yung interpretation, no? And then the other one was in the north. Tama si Pia, Cordillera is a spillover of the north. So put together, significant yung edge ni Senator Marcos in the counting of that.
And yung tulong po ng mga local officials.
Oh yes, that's the other important revelation na at the end of the day, ang support ng local magiging significant pa rin dun sa isang national election. Because during the campaign, I was hearing from other opinion makers that the local leaders mind only victory at the local level, their own. Pero dito papakita na nagmamatter yung tulak ng local leaders. May epekto talaga sa outcome ng national elections.
And even kahit po may pandemya, malaking factor na nag-iikot pa rin yung physical face-to-face campaign pa rin, hindi napigilan eh.
Oo, parang na-dead mga natin yung pandemic eh. Parang everything goes back to the usual campaign na temperament, pero as if there was no pandemic. So, hopefully, hindi naman talaga nagkaroon ng effect ito sa health condition. So, I think seeing all of this and looking back, ang daming mga realizations siguro, no? The psychology, the decision of people, the strategies, maraming lessons na pwedeng pulutin dito sa nakikita natin.
Yung sinasabi kasi kanina ni Pia na parang yung result ng elections is parang something na kailangan pa rin pag-aralan ngayon ulit ng mga political strategies, the political parties themselves.
Right.
No? Siguro parang isa rin ang gusto kong tanungin sa inyo, Professor, because Marcos is considered a majority president now. No, when you say, ano ba ibig sabihin nun? People kept saying he won by an overwhelming majority, he's the majority president. Anong implication din yan?
Ang implication niyan sa ating demokrasya is we cannot just ignore, that the upcoming administration, the incoming administration, we have to weigh things before we say the sitting president is anyway, he represents a large number of Filipinos who have spoken. So I think caution ito dun sa before we take action on anything else. Parang so far, ito yung pinakamalaking lamang na nakita natin ng isang presidente, no? This is even bigger now compared to what we have witnessed in 2010, time ni Pinoy. Of course, President Ramos was a minority president, napakaslim ng margin.
Si President Duterte was almost 40% of total votes,
But
16
this
million.
But this one appears to be even
over
bigger.
50, over 50% na to.
So, ang implication nito ay we really have to think twice in terms of hindi lang dahil siya ay sitting president, pero what did the people's count really mean, no?
And then also yung but if you also look at Sara Duterte, parang sino bang nakatulong kanino? Did Marcos help Sara or did Sara help Marcos?
If you will ask me, I think it's President Duterte who helped both, actually. Syempre,
Even though hindi siya formally nag-endorse, ano?
Yes.
Ang president,
But I think basically it's really, well, of course, it works both ways, no? Yung tulong ni Sara Duterte on Marcos. Pero meron ding hatak si Senator Marcos. I think the combination of Mindanao and the North had really clinched the outcome of the election. It benefited both candidates. Plus, may dagdag pa yung support ni. Of course, it's normal. People would expect na ang ini-endorse ni President Duterte ay si Sara. So I think that's an added value to the figure.
Thank you. We'll still have Professor Edna Co with us until later. The camp of presumptive President Bongbong Marcos is holding a media briefing. Let's listen in.
Thank our esteemed compañero, Attorney Romy Makalintal, as well as Vice President Leni Robredo, for recognizing the integrity of the election and the electoral process, and for recognizing the vibrancy of our democracy, and for recognizing the very clear win and mandate given by the Filipino people to Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.
Sir, according to the senators, the canvassing may be finished by tomorrow. presumptive President Marcos attending the proclamation?
Absolutely, he will attend, and yeah, I think the canvassing will be done. Hopefully, it depends on up to what time we're going to extend the canvassing tonight. But we're looking at around 4 p.m., between 4 to 6 p.m. probably, that the canvassing will be completed, and that President-elect Bongbong and Vice President-elect Inday Sara Duterte will be officially declared the winner and proclaimed by the joint houses of Congress.
Any personal message, sir, that BBM wants to convey to VP Robredo and the other opponents?
Well, essentially what we have manifested during the canvassing, that we thank them, not just Vice President Leni Robredo, but even Mayor Isko Moreno, for recognizing, again, the integrity of the election and the electoral process, for recognizing the vibrancy of our democracy as exhibited last May 9 election, and for recognizing a clear win and the overwhelming mandate given by the Filipino people to President-elect Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr.
Attorney, sa ngayon po ba si President BBM ay pwede nang mag-relax, mag-prepare na for his proclamation after nakita naman po natin yung maayos at magandang naging proseso po ng canvassing dito sa Congress?
Well, typical of his attitude and character. Siguro nakapag-relax na yun ng 1 minute. But now, he's back again working and talking to people and possibly interviewing potential nominees that will form part of his cabinet.
Sir, related to that, any more nominations, sir, that you can share with us?
Well, our focus actually for today is the canvassing. And we have reserved today, tomorrow, and possibly until Thursday for the canvassing. But with the development, the unexpected development this afternoon with the manifestation made by the lawyer of Vice President Robredo and their manifestation of continuing no objection, so napabilis. So maybe by Friday we might come up with some name or names as his potential nominee, and that will form part and join him in his governance.
Where is he now, sir? What is he doing?
At the moment, he is at our EDSA Mandaluyong headquarters and in a series of meetings and briefings. And I believe he is set to talk to 2 or 3 personality for possible inclusion in his administration.
There was he surprised about the manifestation?
Absolutely, we were all surprised, and but it was a good surprise. And again, it was a show of deep patriotism. And I think ito na yung mensahe na dala-dala namin nung kampanya, at tumutugon naman ang lahat ng may pagmamahal sa bansa doon sa mensahe ng pagkakaisa.
Nanood po ba siya ng canvassing sa headquarters?
Well, I don't think he is watching it, but I'm sure I relate to him the development, and I'm sure he is fully aware of what's happening right now.
Or what was the initial reaction? What was the initial statement of BBM?
I haven't spoken to him. He has yet to reply. And again, because he is deep into meetings, and he has 2 or 3 personality set for today, so he can interview them. Any more?
So anytime po tomorrow, it's ready for the proclamation?
Yes. Yeah, probably early or late in the afternoon.
But the venue for the inauguration, not yet decided po?
We have an idea, but I have to wait for the official transitioning in deference to the wisdom of Executive Secretary Medel Dea, to wait for until he is officially proclaimed before the transition process can begin.
Sir, Attorney Rodriguez, so we will expect around 30 after?
It depends on the progress of the canvassing today. I was told everyone is willing to extend and work overtime tonight so we can expedite the process. Anyway, the camp of Vice President Robredo have recognized again the integrity of the process and have waived their participation in the canvassing.
Attorney Beng, on the part of Mayor Sara, is there any plans that is going to attend the proclamation, and is there any statement about this latest development?
On the part of presumptive Vice President Sara Duterte, we have relayed to her the latest development, and we're coordinating with her on the scheduled possible proclamation date.
Ma'am, added po ba si Mayor Sara?
Yes.
We're coordinating with her, but hopefully she will.
Sorry po. In case po na makaaga yung proclamation, magbabago din po ba yung intended date for the inauguration yan na supposedly July?
Wala pa po siyang nire-relay about that.
Okay, so thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Briefing of presumptive President Bongbong Marcos's camp, Attorney Vic Rodriguez there again thanking the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo after her lawyer earlier manifested that they will waive their appearance at the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President, and that they will not object so as to expedite the proceedings. Attorney Vic Rodriguez said that this is a recognition of the integrity of the elections, the vibrancy of democracy, and that Bongbong Marcos was given a clear and overwhelming mandate by the people. Attorney Vic Rodriguez also said that they will be ready to attend the proclamation of Marcos. They're expecting it tomorrow afternoon around 4 to 6 p.m. And the lawyer of presumptive Vice President Sara Duterte also said that she will most likely attend the proceedings, the proclamation tomorrow. Again, Marcos, according to Attorney Vic Rodriguez, is just at the their EDSA headquarters with briefings and meetings, and that by Friday they will probably announce more names for potential nominees to the cabinet of Marcos. As we mentioned earlier, the counsel of Vice President Leni Robredo, Attorney Romulo Macalintal, said that they have no objection on all the certificates of canvass. Let's go back to that statement.
Your Honor, with the permission of this honorable body, I'd like to make a short manifestation on behalf of Vice President Leni Robredo. Your Honors, in her public statement, Vice President Leni Robredo asked her supporters that we need to accept the decision of the majority. Sinabi niya, bagaman may hindi pa nabibilang, bagaman may mga tanong ukol sa eleksyon na ito na kailangang matugunan, palinaw na ng palinaw ang tinig ng taong bayan. Sa ngalan ng Pilipinas, na alam kong mahal na mahal rin ninyo, kailangan nating pakinggan ang tinig na ito. Dahil sa huli, iisa lang naman ang bayang pinagsasaluhan natin. Habang lumilinaw na ang litrato, kailangan nating simulan tanggapin na hindi ayon sa mga pangarap natin ang resulta ng eleksyon. She said, we need to accept the majority's decision. And so, Your Honors, consistent with such pronouncements by Vice President Leni Robredo, and so as not to delay the proceedings of this board, we would like to make of record our continuing manifestation that we interpose no objection to the inclusion in the canvass of all the certificates of canvass for President from the various provincial and city boards of canvassers found by this honorable board to be authentic and duly executed in accordance with Section 20 of Republic Act 7166. And with that continuing manifestation, Your Honors,
Thank you.
may we be allowed to respectfully waive our appearance before this joint committee to further expedite its proceedings. And finally, on a personal note, in any competition or contest, I am always guided by this very meaningful short prayer entitled The Prayer of Sportsman. This was composed by the late American poet Burton Braley, and I quote, "Dear Lord, if I should win, let it be by the code, with my faith and my honor held high. And if I should lose, let me stand by the road and cheer as the winners go by." Maraming pong salamat. Pagpalain po tayo ng pong may kapal at ang ating bansa.
And Attorney Romulo Macalintal there.
Lenny Robredo, for your magnanimity on this electoral contest, and we wish the Vice President well. We recognize also the counsel of Presumptive President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We join in the manifestation of my distinguished colleague and one of the leading election law practitioner, Attorney Romulo Macalintal. And likewise, we would like to recognize and thank the patriotism exhibited by Vice President Leni Robredo for expressly recognizing the integrity and the result of the recently concluded general elections.
We're still watching the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President at the Batasang Pambansa. We will pause for a quick break. Stay tuned to CNN Philippines. This is a CNN Philippines coverage on the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President. I'm Ruth Cabal. Our chief correspondent, Pia Ontiveros, is at the Batasang Pambansa. Pia, can you give us the latest about the number of COCs canvassed there?
Yeah, Ruth, what we're going through now, well, we just did Guam, Oman, Guimaras, Siquijor, and then Thailand, and then now it's General Santos City. Interesting also yung mga overseas absentee voting. No? So for example, Oman, BBM has 6,457 votes, Lenny 1,153. Thailand, BBM 4,554, Lenny 1,388. And we've heard this before, no? During the campaign and during the elections, na yung overseas absentee voting, lalamang daw talaga si BBM for a variety of reasons. Also, interesting itong Guimaras, no? Region 6, Western Visayas, which is traditionally would go, quote-unquote, would go opposition. Well, Guimaras went for Lenny with 66,071 votes and BBM 25,792 votes. Siquijor, which is in Region 7, Central Visayas, with kasama sa Central Visayas, syempre ang Cebu, BBM has 31,412 votes, Marcos 31,412 votes, Lenny 17,753 votes. Yun yung sinasabi ko kanina na that's what's interesting here sa yung mga provincial and city COCs para makita mo what really happened on the ground. Earlier, diba, Professor Edna Co was referred to the rallies and naalala ko yung mga sinasabi ng mga Lenny voters or Lenny supporters na bakit ganyan, napakalaki ng mga rally namin, ang sasaya ng mga rally namin, ang gaganda, and you know, maganda yung mga rallies nila, no? But I had heard this said by different political campaign experts who said na it's not the number of people in the rally, it's more the people who are not in the rally. So if a rally is held in a certain city, and then, for example, 100 ang taong nasa rally, no, 100. Pero yung voting population niya 1,000. Example lang yon. Wala namang city na 1,000 lang ang voting population. No? Yung ganun ba? Parang you have to look at the numbers also. So, well, we're seeing it being borne out now in the canvassing ng mga boto dito sa House of Representatives ng Joint Canvassing Committee. At, you know, things have considerably, you know, because I remember the past canvassing, kahit yung automated election, medyo mataas ang tensyon, no, pag nag-uumpisa. Kasi nga nag-expect na may mag-object, may makipag-away. No? Pero, na-dissipate agad yon dahil nagsalita na si Romy Mac. And then, a while ago nga, narinig na nga natin yung press conference ni Vic Rodriguez. So, yung inuulit lang niya yung sinabi na nga niya dito sa floor na napakalaking bagay nga na nagsalita na si Atty. Makalintal ng ganoon, speaking on behalf of VP Lenny.
Okay.
Ruth?
Yes. Thank you, Pia. Babalikan ka namin. And speaking of Attorney Mac, we have him on the line, Vice President Leni Robredo's counsel, Attorney Romulo Makalintal. Good afternoon, sir. Attorney Mac?
Hello.
Attorney Mac, hello. Si Ruth po ito.
Hello.
Attorney,
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Marami pong nagulat doon sa inyong statement kanina sa canvassing. Can you tell us more about it? Paano po kayo nauwi sa ganyang desisyon at si Vice President Lenny?
Kasi naman, consistent lang naman yun sa kanyang pronouncement. Sinabi ko lang naman yung kanyang sinabi doon sa rally na iginagalang niya yung resulta ng eleksyon. At sabi niya, siya na mismo nagsabi na tanggapin na natin ng ating pangarap ay di nakuha dito sa election ito. And we have to accept the majority's decision. And so I said that consistent with these pronouncements, and so as not to delay the proceedings, we just made a continuing manifestation that we have no objection to the inclusion in the canvass of all the Provincial Board of Canvassers certificates of canvass, which would be found by the board to be authentic and duly executed. That is supposed to be the case because hindi naman kami pwede mag-object doon sa mga returns or sa mga certificates of canvass. As an election lawyer, I know that there would be no grounds to object to the inclusion in the canvass of any of the certificates of canvass already received or transmitted to the joint committee. Kaya, as a matter of fact, I cleared it with the Vice President that we will just waive further appearance, and we will just tell the board that we will just have a continuing manifestation of no objection to the inclusion in the canvass of the certificates of canvass so as not to delay the proceedings of the National Board of Canvassers.
You said you cleared it with Vice President. Kailan po kayo huling nag-usap at ano po ang particular din na sinabi sa inyo ni VP?
I think, kailan ba yun? Basta a day before she left for New York.
So recently po, like yesterday or today, nasa US pa rin po ba si VP?
Yeah, nandun pa rin siya. No? I have not yet communicated with her. Pero yun ang sinabi ko sa kanya. Position ko o sasabihin ko sa board the moment na magkaroon ng canvassing ang Board of Canvassers. I will be voting what she told her supporters. At yun ang ginawa ko. Inulit ko lamang halos yung mga sinabi niya.
Kanina po after niyan ay nagpasalamat din po sa inyo si Attorney Vic Rodriguez, no, yung abogado po ng kampo po ni Presumptive President Bongbong Marcos. Sinabi niya kasi it's a recognition of the vibrancy of democracy, of the integrity of the elections, and the clear mandate and overwhelming mandate of the people. Your reaction to that?
Well, okay lang naman yun. Actually, kaya nga kami gumawa ng ganong continuing manifestation na we have no objection because we respect yung overwhelming votes na natanggap nila from the Filipino people.
But does this mean, kayo po ang familiar sa mga proseso, because kilala naman po kayong election lawyer, what's next after this one? Kasi they will probably proclaim na daw by tomorrow afternoon.
Siguro wala namang makakapigil eh. Wala namang makakapigil sa proclamation. And I'm sure na alam naman nila yan na siguro yung lamang hindi makatanggap ng pagkatalo ang hindi maniniwala o ayaw na matuloy yan. Pero walang dahilan para hindi matuloy ang proclamation ng winning candidate. Walang dahilan para hindi matuloy yung assumption nila sa office. Kasi wala namang valid grounds. There is no legal impediment. Any constitutional issues pending na maaari magpahinto o tumigil sa panunungkulan ng mga nanalong president, vice president.
Binanggit nyo na po na no legal impediment or pwedeng pumigil sa assumption nila sa kanilang post. So ibig sabihin po ba wala na kaming aasahan na anumang, moving forward, anumang kaso or pag-question mula sa inyong kampo?
Wala namang, sa aming kampo, wala kaming inihahaing anumang kaso. We never filed any case against Mr. Marcos or any presidential candidate for that matter. Hindi kami, we are not a party to any mga disqualification cases. We are not a party to any pending case before the Supreme Court. As a matter of fact, hindi namin nalalaman na may mga parang nag-file ng mga ganyang cases noon.
Yun nga sana yung next question ko kasi nga meron pong to cancel COC and then the disqualification sa Supreme Court.
Hindi pwede. I'm sure the Supreme Court will not grant the petition. There is no ground to delay the proclamation or the assumption to office.
I'm not sure kung meron po kayong information about this kasi kanina pinag-uusapan po namin kasama ko dito sa studio si Professor Edna ko. Sabi ko kasi bakit wala pa po talagang statement na direkta pong nagko-concede kaya si Vice President Robredo?
But that in itself is acceptance of the results of the election. Sinasabi naman, natanggap naman niya ang decision. We need to accept the decision of the majority. So, by that, inaamin niya na talagang dapat igalang yung ano boto ng taong bayan.
And that yung kinikilala nyo na rin po, yung sinasabi rin ng BBM, ng kampo ni Presumptive President Marcos of a clear and overwhelming mandate.
Well, talagang dapat kilalanin yun kasi nga the decision of the majority is there. It's clearly written on the wall, and the canvassing of the certificates of canvass is now ongoing. And I have not heard of any presidential or vice presidential candidate objecting to the inclusion of the canvass of any certificate of canvass. Kaya yan, tuloy-tuloy na yan. Ano? Unlike in previous cases which I handled, na may mga objections, magbigat ang mga objections, talagang ang mga abogado ay nagtatalo-talo. No? Pero in this particular case, kami na mismo ay we manifested that we would be waiving further appearance in further proceedings of the board. In other words, hindi na rin kami mag-a-appear doon sa board of canvassers. Just to give them a free hand and to see to it that the proceedings would go on smoothly.
Huli na lang po, Attorney, yung mensahe niyo po sa mga taga-suporta on behalf of Vice President Robredo.
Well, sa mga taga-suporta ni Vice President, tanggapin natin yung sinabi ni Vice President na tanggapin natin na ang ating pangarap ay hindi na ibigay dito sa resultang ito. At kung ngayon na sinabi na ni Vice President siya na mismo ang nananawagan, siguro ay dapat na natin sundin yan.
Thank you very much to Attorney Romulo Makalintal from the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo. Aside from the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President, we're also monitoring the special elections in Tubaran, Lanao del Sur. Our George Cahiles is monitoring the situation there. George, what's the latest?
Well, Ruth, the conduct of the special elections in 12 of 21 barangays in Tubaran, Lanao del Sur is still ongoing. Residents lined up as polling centers manned by 60 policemen opened at 6 in the morning as scheduled. It will end at 7 p.m. Authorities telling us that the situation on the ground is so far so good. No untoward incident reported yet. That's far from the situation in the area last May 9 and a few days after that, where violence were observed among supporters of opposing candidates there. Around the fact that soldiers are currently deployed in the area, they are monitoring the movements of groups that may possibly create chaos. The police reported sightings of armed men in town in the past few days, reason why authorities are not taking chances. They deployed as many police and soldiers as possible, so the voice of residents of Tubaran will be heard by exercising their right to vote. Back to you.
Do you have word as to when they will start canvassing, counting the votes and transmitting it and the votes?
Finish the transmission or at least announce the winners by 10 p.m. That's according to COMELEC. And as you know, there are around 7,000 votes from Tubaran that have yet to be canvassed or to be counted today. So the COMELEC also said that right after all the votes from Tubaran are in, they will proceed with the proclamation of winners for the party list.
Yes, hinintay yan sa party list proclamation and also for the official canvass dito sa Congress. That's our George Cahiles reporting. And balikan din natin dito sa studio si Professor Ed Nacor. You heard the interview with Attorney Mac. Ano pong tingin nyo? Parang sinasabi nila, mismo sila aminado, wala na daw legal impediment to the proclamation of Marcos and Duterte.
Sa akin, Ruth, it's a beautiful statement which tells us about what kind of democracy Philippines is growing into. No? Ang ganda pakinggan galing sa isang contender na nirerespeto yung proseso, yung outcome ng bilangan, ng canvassing. But it is not to say that we don't go through the process just the same. We won't be remiss there. Pero ang gandang pakinggan na tinatanggap yung outcome ng election. So I think we need to appreciate also what the camp of VP Leni said about that one. And I think that also tells us even more that the Philippine election as part of Philippine democracy continues to progress. So ang ganda nung ganong klaseng
yung sinasabi nila dati, Prof, no, parang sa election daw dito, walang natatalo, nadadaya lang. So parang ngayon,
parang nababasag ngayon yung ganong konsepto, no? At saka yung acceptance natin ng will ng tao. Yun naman yung esensya ng election, di ba? We accept the will of the people, hindi sa ayaw tanggapin ang pagkatalo. But I think this is one of the few instances where yung natalong kandidato, maluwag yung kalooban na tinatanggap. So I think that's a beautiful sign for our democracy, for our election. Pero I'm sure also that everyone will assess, will look back and say what went wrong, ano yung maganda. And yeah, I think we're heading in that direction. And magaan din dalhin ng incoming administration how to move forward and how to, how to advance, no? Mas maluwag yon kesa yung ang dami nating load na sinisettle after an election.
Off the air kasi kanina, we were watching the press conference of Attorney Vic Rodriguez. Sabi niyo parang nakahinga yung itsura ni Attorney Vic, parang nakahinga ng maluwag. But, what will this also mean for them?
Yeah, I think they should take this as an opportunity to rally everyone behind the administration so it can move forward. Parang I remember isang namin to sa public administration. After an election, lalo na kung victorious ka, create an atmosphere of a cross-class alliance, a cross-sector alliance. Parang ito siguro yung maglalagay ng kahulugan dun sa call ni presumptive President Bongbong na unity, di ba? Open the doors to anyone who will support, who will join in. And I think that's exactly how we can move the country forward.
When I was able to interview presumptive President Marcos, he was saying na yung kasama daw din, yung ganyang sinasabi nyo na hindi naman daw sa partido, basta daw competent yung isang tao na mapasama sa kanyang administrasyon at yung pinagkakatiwalaan din niya. And speaking of that, he announced, was that yesterday or the other day, na tinitingnan niya na to be National Economic Secretary is Arsenio Balisacan, who served during the administration of President Aquino.
Yeah. So I think these are what we're seeing now are good signs na parang moving towards pag-harmonize na ng mga tao, no? Hindi na politika yung mangingibabaw, but it's really ang competency, tapos ano yung kinakailangan natin gawin to move forward. So we need a good economy, we need a good even the yung sa labor, having served across so many presidents. So ito yung we have to pick up, and we see some promising Philippine administration moving forward.
Let's talk more about that mamaya. We're still going to be with Professor Edna Co. We will pause for a quick break. Stay tuned to CNN Philippines. This is a CNN Philippines coverage on the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President. I'm Ruth Cabal. Just to give you an update, so far, Congress, sitting as the National Board of Canvassers, has canvassed 20 certificates of canvass out of a total of 173. And based on their latest canvass of votes for presidential candidates, Marcos has 1,505,208 votes. At second place is Leni Robredo with 854,063 votes. At third place is Pacquiao with 149,687 votes. Moving on to the vice presidential candidates canvass, Sara Duterte has 1,421,503 votes, followed by Kiko Pangilinan with 535,599 votes, and Vicente Soto with 526,338 votes. In the meantime, the camp of presumptive President Bongbong Marcos had a media briefing earlier. Let's get more details from our correspondent, Amor Santos. Amor?
Hi, Ruth. Bongbong Marcos will attend his expected proclamation as president-elect tomorrow, according to his spokesperson, attorney Vic Rodriguez. Rodriguez called it a quote-unquote good surprise that the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo raised no objections to all certificates of canvass and even waived their appearance or their participation before the Congressional Canvassing Committee. And also, Isko Moreno's camp also said there would be no objections from their side. Rodriguez said these are all consistent with the Marcoses' call for unity. Because of these, Senate Majority Leader Mig Subiri, who's also canvassing committee co-chair, said he sees the canvassing of votes for president and vice president to end by early afternoon tomorrow. Rodriguez said Bongbong Marcos will be ready for the proclamation anytime tomorrow, but they expect it to happen at around 4 in the afternoon to 6 p.m. Now, where is Bongbong Marcos? Rodriguez says he's at the headquarters in Mandaluyong and that he's ready or he's set to talk to 2 to 3 personalities for their possible inclusion in their cabinet. Rodriguez said they initially reserved until Thursday for the canvassing of votes, but with the developments today, his closest rival Leni Robredo waiving her participation, interposing no objections, Bongbong Marcos will proceed to form his cabinet. His camp is expected to reveal more names of their nominees on Friday. Now, for Mayor Sara Duterte, her lawyer Beng Sardillo said they're still coordinating about the expected proclamation of Sara Duterte as Vice President-elect tomorrow. Ruth?
That's for Amor Santos reporting there from the Batasang Pambansa. And we now go back to Professor Edna Co, who's here with us in the studio. Professor, kanina we were talking about yung what Amor Santos was saying, yung statement ng camp ni presumptive President Bongbong Marcos about the camp of Leni Robredo waiving their appearance na, no, yung lawyers from the canvassing today. Sabi nyo nga parang it's a good parang show of how our democracy or our elections have evolved. Isa pang gusto kong tanungin siguro sa point na yan is we have more than an 83% voter turnout na isa sa pinakamalaki in recent history, sabi ng COMELEC. Ano yung observation nyo dyan about Filipino voters?
Well, actually, nakakagulat din, ano? Surprisingly, we had very high turnout ng participation sa election. And this is amidst pandemic.
Yes.
So, I think that's really, really very indicative of how people would like to show their aspiration, yung choices nila. It's very, it's very reflective of Filipinos still continue to dream and to show who they are, what they stand for, who they want. So, ito yung indication ng ating election what kind of aspirations people have. So, kinakapture ito ng election. And therefore, sa akin, you look at the leaders who are elected or who will be declared as elected, sana hindi masayang yung ganong pagkakataon, no? That we really take this opportunity to have, to step up as a country Kasi yung pinakita ng mga tao, they have spoken, no? Yung iba pwedeng may frustration, but then kahit yung na-frustrate, nag-express na let's embrace it, and ibig sabihin, no, there's no other way. You have to move ahead, move forward. So sa akin, it's very promising years to come for the Philippines. Sana hindi masayang.
And also another factor, a big factor din also for the elections this year, no, yung social media.
Right.
There was a lot of campaigning also on social media, and then there were studies din daw na parang baka daw disinformation could have played a big part. Ano po yung observation nyo in terms of this one?
Sa akin, ang resounding message ng election is digital technology is here. It shows us the pros as well as the cons, no? Yung value na kanina binabanggit ni Pia, mas mabilis yung takbo dahil nga automated na, digital, may value siya. But let us not forget two things in a digital technology. It is an opportunity, pero it has also threats. And yung information, disinformation and misinformation, bahagi yan ng threats. But I think the challenge for the Filipino people, lalo na pa-escalate pa lang yung pag-develop natin ng ating teknolohiya, is how to see the opportunity rather and to downplay the threats. No? Sana ma-reduce yun. They coexist eh. Pag may opportunity, meron talagang threats eh. But if we can downplay that and say, paano pa natin gagawing mas useful, mas positive, mas advantageous ang digital technology. Kasi if you look at digital technology, pag hindi natin ito pinaunlad, ang dami ring left out, no? Di ba? Because we're an island country. So ang dami nating hindi makakonect. But I think it's a challenge. How do we make the technology works in favor of positively, no? But also, sabi ko nga, it's an opportunity, pero may malaking threats yan. And I think we have to see how that can be downplayed. Tama naman yung naging karanasan na people are now warned about misinformation, disinformation. We'll have to embrace it. Like sa education natin, paano ba i-balance yung misinformation? I think, but the word is, we continue to move ahead, no? How to do it is a challenge for leadership.
Yes.
Di ba?
So, yung sinasabi niyong challenge siguro or downplaying or minimizing threats, yung COMELEC has tried in the past to come up with rules, lalo na yung trying to regulate yung social media. Di ba ngayon pinapa-register na nila na you have to have your official media, tapos minomonitor nila. Pero do you think we should have more rules in terms of yung ganyan po sa social media?
Yes, actually, hindi naman yan madaling gawin kasi even advanced countries have problems in regulating social media. Hindi lang naman for the Philippines yon, no? So I think we joined that in the sense na if we have a problem, hindi naman natin pwedeng sabihin, wag na lang i-adapt. Or we cannot just cast it away. We have to confront nasan ba yung difficulty and how do we overcome it? I think that's the more proactive way of dealing with the social media troubles. So to speak, no? And again, this is a leadership challenge. Pagtulong-tulungan, kung kinakailangan, makinig tayo dun sa ilang expert din na mula sa ibang bansa kung paano nila hinandle ang ilang threats ng social media. Because I have been hearing many good things from how some scientists are dealing with problems of social media. No? Kaya lang, tuloy-tuloy lang yung travel, yung journey natin papunta dyan. Yeah.
As in, sana mag-improve lang din siya. No? Every
Yes.
elections, yung in trying to come up with, how to regulate also social media and campaigns and all that. Right now, we'll just get an update from Batasang Pambansa. We have so far 22 certificates of canvas there. After Zambales, the recent ones were Zambales and Muntinlupa, and now we're having the canvas for Nueva Vizcaya.
25339.
Province of Nueva Vizcaya, for Vice President, Atienza, 759,759. Bello, 438, 438. David, 207,207. Duterte, 182,477, 182,477. Lopez, 796, 796. Ong, 4,988, 4988. Pangilinan, 19,162, 19162. Serapio, 635, 635. Soto, 32,106, 32106.
We direct both sections to open the ballot boxes from Bilin province and to compare the contents of the manually transmitted results of the COCs with those electronically transmitted to our Congress's consolidation and canvassing system.
We're now opening the ballot box with the COC from the province of Biliran. There's an envelope with a paper seal, number SN 4039579, duly signed.
Ay, naku naman na tayo.
Sa high school ito, high school.
Careful lang, sir.
Elementary teacher yung napatay ko.
O, teacher ng...
Ate, iba naman sa atin. Mr. Chair, from the province of Biliran, both for President and Vice President COCs, the same and authentic, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, sir. Dear colleague, if there are no other observations, manifestations, nor objections, the chair directs that the certificate of canvass for the province of Biliran be included in the canvass and asks the secretary to read the results of the elections there.
Certificate of canvass from the province of Biliran for President Abella. Votes garnered 327, 327. De Guzman 199, 199. Domagoso 2,445, 2445. Gonzales 159, 159. Lacson 856, 856. Mangundato 152, 152. Marcos 60,687, 60687. Montemayor 149, 149. Pacquiao 17,347, 17347. Robredo 11,851, 11851.
Province of Biliran, Vice President, Atienza, 1,051, 1051. Bello, 235, 235. David, 127, 127. Duterte, 62,717, 62717. Lopez, 398, 398. Ong, 2,364, 2364. Pangilinan, 8,270, 8270. Serapio, 289, 289. Soto, 11,572, 11572.
The section of both houses are directed to open the ballot box from Brunei and to compare the contents of the manually transmitted results of the COCs with that of those electronically transmitted to the Congress's consolidation and canvassing system.
We're now opening the ballot box containing this COC from the country of Kingdom of Brunei.
Depending on him. Depending on the boss.
Okay, it is a paper seal number SN0389123, duly signed.
Mr. Chair, from Brunei Darussalam, both President and Vice President COCs are the same authentic.
Thank you to my dear colleague. With that, no other manifestation or observation or objection. The chair directs certificate of canvass for the results of the Kingdom of Brunei be included in the canvass, and ask the Secretary to read the results of the elections there.
Certificate of canvass from Brunei Darussalam for President. Abella, votes garnered 5. De Guzman, 2. Domagoso, 164,164. Gonzales, 3. Lacson, 50, 5-0. Mangondato,
You're still watching
6.
the live coverage at the Batasang Pambansa for the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President. At this point, we speak with political analyst Edmond Tayaw. Good afternoon to you, Professor.
Good afternoon.
Professor, question namin sa inyo ngayon, kanina pa din namin pinag-uusapan ni Professor ko dito sa studio. No? Kayo naman, anong assessment nyo dun sa takbo ngayon ng canvass for President and Vice President?
I think it is as expected. We know the function naman ng Congress when it comes to canvassing. Essentially, it's to check really what has already transpired and act accordingly if there's anything that needs to be straightened up or what, no? But I suppose, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, Congress has already informed, no, the expected winners, no, so that they can already prepare for their proclamation.
One of the things, one of the highlights that we saw today was from the camp of Vice President Leni Robredo, yung lawyer niya, si Attorney Makalintal, manifested that they will no longer, they will waive their appearance and they will not contest the COCs that will be canvassed today. Ano pong reaction niyo dyan? They said it was to expedite the proceedings.
Yeah, it will expedite the proceedings because essentially it's as if they're saying that they have already accepted the results. No, in the first place, no, if the difference is just a few million votes, then perhaps we can somehow assume, no, that some irregularities might affect the final result substantially. Pero ito kasi is more than double the number of votes of the second ranking, no, contender. So in other words, I think this is like saying that they have already accepted the results.
What do you think it shows about our candidates ngayon, ano, yung presidential candidates natin, or may mga nauna na rin na nag-concede? Si Senator Subiri was even saying, you know, the Vice President's camp showed magnanimity after that statement from Attorney Ma.
I wouldn't really think that, at the very least, my standard is at least former Secretary Mar Rojas, who also ran for president in 2016. He was quite categorical, considerably more categorical in his conceding to then President-elect Duterte, no? Yung concession nitong ngayon parang meron pang parang it leaves some lingering doubts, so to speak, and it doesn't really contribute to at the very least what's this comforting the people and informing them and advising them that the process have been carried out as planned and as provided for by law, and that the results have to be accepted.
So, let me just follow up.
Mas maganda sana kung sa kandidato mismo nang galing yung ganon, instead of coming from a lawyer or a representative.
Yun nga po yung tinatanong ko din kay Attorney Mac kanina na parang yung direct talaga na concession from Vice President Robredo, pero ang sagot niya nga is yung indication na yun na they're accepting the results. So why are you saying na parang it still leaves lingering doubts? Ano pa yung posibleng mangyari kaya after this?
Alam mo kasi whether we like it or not, this has been a very divisive elections, no? We've seen how polarized politics could be in this country, but we haven't. It's the first time that we will see this level of polarization. And as you know, of course, I'm sure everyone watching or everyone listening, including you guys, are into social media, and I'm sure you know what's happening in social media. That the exchanges continue, bitter. Reactions, and I have to say, I don't know, parang paano ba, unresolved, issues remain, So if the candidate have really been magnanimous enough to accept it categorically, then that could have or that would contribute, that would definitely contribute to the public's being convinced that the process have to be accepted.
You don't see this parang making way pa rin dun sa sinasabi po ng camp ni Presumptive President Bongbong Marcos na unity after the elections?
It's too early really to see, and I remain hopeful. I've always seen politics that way. You see, even with so much negativity, sometimes there are some silver linings that we don't see right away, that hopefully we'll see in the not too far future.
Okay. Thank you very much for your insights, Professor Ed Tayao. And we will pause for a quick break. Stay tuned to CNN Philippines. This is a CNN Philippines coverage on the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President. I'm Ruth Cabal. Malacanang releases a statement following the manifestation of Vice President Leni Robredo's camp before the canvassing of votes. Here's the statement, and I quote, on the decision of the Vice President's camp to expedite the canvassing, the decision of the camp of Vice President Maria Leonor Leni Robredo to expedite the canvassing of votes for President is a positive development. As we earlier articulated, let us respect the outcome of the election and give chance to the winning candidates to fulfill their campaign platform. Again, that was a statement from Malacanang. Our chief correspondent, Pia Ontiveros, is at the Batasang Pambansa. Pia, can you tell us what's the latest from there?
Yeah, hi Ruth. Right now, what's going on is we're 2 hours into the canvassing, no? So, first of all, let me go very quickly over the different provinces or countries, no, kung overseas absentee voting, and then let's just note kung bakit, yung lamang ng boto. So, for example, Athens, Greece, overseas absentee voting. Kanina I was saying na nga na madalas natin marinig ito nung kampanya na ang overseas absentee vote daw si BBM daw ang lalamang. So here we see it in Athens, Greece, 1,710. Si Marcos, si Leni, 418, 418. Marikina, which is in Metro Manila, no? And Marikina, we had that tug of war between Marcy Teodoro, the incumbent mayor, and Bayani Fernando, the former mayor. BBM got 114,956 votes. Si Leni naman, 92,264 votes. So, ano to, mga less than 20K ang lamang. Tama ba? Tama ba yung math ko? Less than 20K ang lamang ni BBM, no? And of course, Marikina, syempre, tinitingnan natin lahat ng mga cities sa Metro Manila. Because I remember, yung Octa Research Group, yung survey nila bago mag-eleksyon, number 3 si Leni sa NCR, okay? Then let's go to Tarlac and Nueva Vizcaya, yung mga COCs na canvas, no? Tarlac and Nueva Vizcaya, Region 3. And it looks like at least these two provinces, let's wait for Pampanga and Zambales, these two provinces went for BBM because Tarlac, Marcos is 426,626 votes, Leni 291,410 votes, Nueva Vizcaya 200,000 plus votes si BBM, si Leni 25,339. So doon mo talaga makita na yung sinasabi rin nila ng kampanya na mag-BBM ang Region 3 o Central Luzon. Okay, let's go down to the Visayas, Eastern Visayas, no? Siyempre, bahagi ng Eastern Visayas ang Leyte, di ba? So Biliran, a province in Region 8, Eastern Visayas, 60,687 si BBM, 11,000 lang si Leni. So ang kitang-kita mo doon yung laki ng lamang ni BBM, di ba? Balik tayo dun sa overseas absentee voting, Brunei, 4,318 si BBM, 652 si Leni, 652. Balik tayo Metro Manila, Pasig City, 207,399 si BBM, 141,000 lang si Leni, 141,041. Remember, there was that big, huge Pasig rally, no? Well, these are the votes as they come in. Ilocos Sur, Chavit Singson Country, 391,973 votes si BBM, 15,671 votes lang si Leni. And again, like I was saying, all the students of Philippine politics are going over these numbers and studying them. No? What do these mean in terms of where they did right, where they went wrong? As of 5 minutes ago, nasa 15%, 15.61% na ng total COCs, 173 COCs kasi 'di ba 27 out of 173 COCs ang na-canvas na. So this is just after 2 hours. So tingnan natin because it's 4:30. So by 6:30 we expect another 15% siguro of the COCs, no? Because like we said earlier, dahil nga nagsalita na si Romy Mac at si Vic Rodriguez, walang objections, no objections so far, no? So ito pala, no, may malapit yung malapit yung laban sa Marinduque. 55,278 si BBM, 54,379 si Leni. So very interesting again, like I was saying. And this is something that, for people who are watching now, mga estudyante, even if you're not a student, tingnan yung mabuti. That's why the Senate and the House are making this available, not just for transparency, but so that people can study all these numbers. They tell very, very interesting stories. And lalo na, like I said earlier, di ba, all politics is local, no? So this shows that all politics is local. We're going to be seeing more COCs in just a bit. So naka 28 na, no? 28 COCs out of 173. So we'll see where this goes. But of course, we do know that there will be a proclamation. Looks like it's going to happen tomorrow, maybe earlier. We don't know. But there will be that proclamation of BBM and Sarah. Right now, it's 28 COCs canvass out of 173, 16.18%, 16.18%. Total canvass votes for presidential candidates, 4,649,556. And ang kanina, nasabi na nga natin, 55.5 million ang votes cast noong May 9. And right now, they're about to do Singapore, okay? Sige, Ruth, sorry. Go ahead.
Ibigay ko lang yung total tally from the website of Congress, as you mentioned nga, with 28 out of 173 COCs canvassed. We still have Ferdinand Marcos with 2,852,691 votes, followed by Robredo with 1,305,990 votes. Pacquiao is at third place with 208,942. And kanina, you were talking about Northern Luzon, kung saan makikita natin yung lead ni Marcos. Zambales ay pumasok na actually, and like what you said, Pia, malaki yung lamang doon ni Marcos sa Northern Luzon. Zambales in particular, 291,000 votes versus over 114,000 votes for Robredo.
1136.
Zambales, Central Luzon, no? Region 3, Central Luzon.
36806. Montemayor, 12. 12. Pacquiao, 324.
Ito, Ruth,
This is Singapore.
Singapore. Ang layo, hindi ko makita. 36,000 ba?
283.
BBM is 36,000, no? 36,806 si BBM, Lenny is 12,283. Ito na naman, nakikita natin yung sinasabi nilang the overseas vote went for BBM.
So simula kanina, wala ka pang, bibitaw kasi kami minsan sa coverage, so wala pang any discrepancies manifested, no?
Wala naman discrepancies, wala. Walang problema, walang aberya. But, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but if we were still doing manual elections, nako, sang katerba yan, sigurado. Pero ngayon wala. Smooth sailing.
We direct our seconds.
Okay. We go back to, thank you very much, Pia. We go back to our guest here at the studio, si Professor Edna Ko. Ma'am, so sinasabi na nga nila, posible na yung proclamation by tomorrow afternoon of Presumptive President Marcos and Presumptive Vice President Sara Duterte. But earlier, Duterte was already saying that she plans to hold her inauguration, on June 19, her oath-taking, on June 19 sa Davao City. Usually kasi ang nakikita natin in the past, magkasama yung President and Vice President. Anong ibig sabihin nun?
Actually, I think Mayor Sara wants to send a message. One is the place for her is really Davao. And she wants to articulate that. She wants to show that. And ito talaga ang political space ng Duterte, including herself, the incumbent president, the brothers, and herself. So ito talaga yung political home ni presumptive VP Sara Duterte. I think that's the message there. But having her own choice there for the inauguration, hindi naman problema yun because there is nothing that could prevent her from, although by tradition, halos magkasama,
Except
magkasama
for
lagi.
President Duterte and VP Lenny, no? Hiwalay sila.
For-
Pero same day,
yeah.
June 30.
Oo. Pero ito, hindi naman wala namang nagpi-prevent na magkahiwalay. The condition only required is for as long as you're proclaimed by the canvass vote. And
Assumption into office on June 30.
yes,
Noon.
and you assume office by June 30. So I think it's still very much on the line. I mean, nothing wrong with it. It's her preference. And for as long as there are no rules, no constitutional or legal violation, that's fine.
Yung observation kasi nung iba, baka daw parang walang honeymoon, parang something like walang honeymoon period for the new president and the vice president. Halimbawa yung sinasabi nila na Mayor Duterte wanted the post for national defense but she was given or she was offered education. Yung parang gano'n na hindi niya pa rin daw nakuha yung gusto niya. May nakikita ba kayong something in conflict with that or
I think hindi naman. I don't want to interpret it or blow it up beyond the proportion that, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the president who really determines or decides who's going into the cabinet. So, pwede rin naman I mean, there's a preference by incoming VP Sara, but I think that's fine. And I think she has some plans also why she would be open to take the DepEd position. She has been talking about it in terms of, young people having to be refreshed again on like ROTC. Gusto niya yan, and that can only happen under the DepEd, preparing the young people for that. So she has her own reason. Whichever way she wants it, palagay ko, feeling ko lang, she has a number one choice, but then it's still okay as far as she is concerned. And at the end of the day, the ball is still with the president.
We will pause for a quick break. Just keep it here on CNN Philippines. This is CNN Philippines coverage on the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President. I'm Ruth Cabal. And as of this time, the National Board of Canvassers in Congress has canvassed 30 out of a total of 173 COCs, or representing 17.34% of total votes cast so far. Ferdinand Marcos is leading with over 2.9 million votes, followed by Leni Robredo with over 1.4 million votes, and Manny Pacquiao with over 212,000 votes. And we take you back to here in the studio with Professor Edna Co. Ma'am, briefly, we already talked about yung possible members of the cabinet of presumptive President Bongbong Marcos. We mentioned kanina yung NEDA, no, was a former NEDA secretary also of President Aquino. May iba nang na-mention ng names. Of course, we have Attorney Vic Rodriguez for possible executive secretary. We have Boying Remulla for justice. Anong assessment nyo? Former Secretary Leguesma also of Labor.
Well, actually, I think he is treading the line of the former, the father, the former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. But if you look at the choices of the cabinet of then President Marcos Sr., mga technocrats at saka people of you may eventually say that in the end, people have some not too happy memories of those people, of the chosen members of the cabinet. Pero if you look at the qualifications, they were top of the line, mga competent, qualified, technical technocrats. So, yun yung isa. And I think somehow, like Secretary for Labor, ito, no, parang inuulit niya yon, but I think he has some very good reason there. Mayaman yung dinaanan, may karanasan. What could beat that, no? And if he's willing to serve, why not? I think ang isang excellent na choice pa rin niya. I mean, regardless of yung political affiliation, hindi niya tiningnan yon in the case of RC Balisacan. No?
Yeah.
And then now, I think nobody would question yung incoming secretary ng Department of Migrant Workers.
Toots Ople, yeah.
And really, I think he's making some choices which have their own reason, which have a valid reason actually. So far, so good.
So far,
yung sa case ng Justice, Secretary of Justice, I was hearing some people saying, could he have chosen another one? Because nanalo naman siya as a legislator, as congressman sa Cavite. And therefore, he could have chosen somebody else. But then, at the end of the day, it's still the president's decision and choice. Yon, I mean, so far, we still have to hear the other...
Hindi pa natin nakikita yung ibang names.
Hindi pa natin nakikita.
Kasi when you think about si President Duterte, lagi parang may Davao connection dun sa kanyang ibang appointees. Parang glaring na may ganun eh.
Pero ito, mas may diversity, no?
So far.
So far, pero hindi pa kompleto yung lineup. And let's not forget the ILG. I think hindi pa masyadong nakafocus, pero he already mentioned former mayor of Mandaluyong, Benhar Abalos. And having been
campaign manager.
Campaign manager, having been president of ULAP, that's a Union of Local Authorities in the Philippines. I mean, di ba, that's a valid reason for choosing someone like him to lead the local government. Yung experience niya putting together the MMDA during the height of the pandemic. I mean, that's an achievement in favor of Mayor Abalos, and having been mayor himself.
Kumbaga, not necessarily because he helped in the campaign, but for his own merit also, or
sa akin
even the others.
Tinitingnan ko yung, ano bang dinaanan nito? Ano ba yung karanasan niya? Which will put him appropriately in that position that the incoming president wanted him to occupy. So it's for some good reasons. Medyo pinag-isipan, and I hope the other names which will come up will similarly manifest competency, experience, di ba? May edge kasi yun eh. Competency, experience, qualifications, malaking factor yon. So far, but the list is not complete.
Siguro, Professor, what do you want or what should the incoming administration focus on?
Siyempre yung economic team, napaka-crucial nun. Having gone through laki ng utang natin, having gone through pandemic, ang dami nating i-retrieve, i-recover. Yung ano din, winning the trust of people in the region. And when I say region, it's the Southeast Asia region. I think Senator Marcos mentioned about yesterday, he mentioned about developing closer alliances with the countries in the region.
Yes.
So I think importante yon, and that should also help solve our West Philippine Sea issue, our interest on patrimony. Pero syempre, at the end of the day, majority of our people would still look up to the economic leveling up. Kailangan natin economy, a sense of a promising industry, tulungan yung maliliit na industriya, which is majority of our economic sector. And of course, maka-achieve ng unity as much as possible.
Siguro, last na lang, Professor, no, as how we've seen with the way the canvassing is going right now, yung developments from the camp of VP Robredo, and they're expecting, some are saying that they might proclaim the new president and vice president tomorrow. Ano na lang siguro yung mensahe nyo in moving forward after yung sinasabi nating masyadong polarized elections?
Palagay ko with the statement of VP Lenny, nakakatulong yan na mag-merge ng nakakaambag dun sa spirit na okay, this chapter is over. We have to move forward. We have to move on. Take the decision in a positive way. And palagay ko, hopefully, I mean, that's our dream. That's my dream. And hopefully the Senator Bongbong is listening keenly to this. So, yun, ma-unite tayo, or at least we cannot achieve 100% unity, but at least mabawasan yung the noise and the disunity around. Tanggapin natin itong, and VP Lenny had said it, let's accept the result of the election. So, it paves the way for the incoming administration.
With that, thank you very much for all your insights, Professor Edna Ko. And thank you for watching our coverage on the canvassing of votes for President and Vice President. More news will come your way on Newsnight at 6 p.m. Our chief correspondent and anchor Pio Ontiveros will continue to monitor the situation at the Batasang Pambansa. I'm Ruth Cabal. Good afternoon.
If you're a commuter or a motorist, the first thing you'll do in the morning is to check how the roads are doing. Is EDSA jam-packed? How's C5 doing? Where will Waze take me this time? I like sharing the traffic